Offensive. No, not that C word. The other C word. We'll take your calls after the news with Nicole Pullman.
Police say they're now very concerned about the safety of a Staffordshire woman missing from Wolverhampton's New Cross Hospital. Jade Hodgkiss was admitted as a patient on Thursday morning and was last seen by hospital staff at 8 a.m. yesterday. Officers believe she may have come to some harm, and they're asking anyone who knows where she is to contact them. Merseyside police have arrested a 28-year-old man on suspicion of murdering an off-duty police officer. PC Neil Doyle, who was 36, was on a Christmas night out when he and two colleagues were assaulted in the early hours of yesterday morning. 300 new paramedics are needed by West Midlands Ambulance Service. It's because of increasing pressure on local teams. President Obama has accused Sony Pictures of caving into pressure from North Korea. They've cancelled the release of a film that mocks the country's leader. He said it was clear that North Korea was behind a damaging cyber attack that has exposed much of the company's confidential information. But he said withdrawing the film was a mistake and not the answer.
We cannot have a society in which some dictator someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States. Because if somebody is able to intimidate folks out of releasing a satirical movie, imagine what they start doing when they see a documentary that they don't like or news reports that they don't like.
In just 2 months, almost 600 drivers have been caught by a new CCTV car monitoring bad parking outside schools in Sandwell. Each of those drivers has been fined £70. Councillor Maria Crompton.
The camera car has got 112 schools to visit on a regular basis through the borough, and it obviously goes past other routes on its journey, and if the camera spots something that is parked illegally, it will take a photograph and send a fine out.
A mainly dry, fine day with winter sunshine, feeling quite cold though in a blustery wind, and a top temperature of 8 Celsius, 46 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Phil. Excellent stuff. I'm serious. Stephen, Ivan and any others that didn't get through to the gardening phone-in. I mean, I'll have a go. I don't know anything about gardening and I don't enjoy gardening, but I could probably give you some advice. If I can't, one of our callers can. It's going to be one of those shows today, dear listener. The busiest shopping day in the world ever. We find out exactly what the Queen is doing on Christmas. And UKIP are in a bit of trouble again. But do you know what? I think I might be on UKIP's side on this one. I'm not sure, and I need your help. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
There's a lot to talk about this morning. There's I want to talk about this kind fella, Prince George's jumper again, Obama versus Sony, Farage versus Jesus, Easter eggs. Easter eggs are on sale. That's and people are complaining. For goodness sakes, that's the best thing ever, isn't it? Isn't it? Anyway, first thing I want to talk about is UKIP. Oh, here we go. Lefty liberal BBC attacking UKIP again. Hashtag BBC bias. Well, I'm not sure what I feel about this story. My knee-jerk reaction was outrage and disgust. But then the more I think about it, the more I think everybody's overreacting. The story is Kerry Smith, who was he was going to stand for the party in South Basildon and East Thurrock. Where's that? It's in that there London somewhere, or is it Essex, Kent? It's around there anyway, miles away from here. And he was recorded making a telephone conversation where he referred to poofters and I'm going to say the word once, OK? I'm going to say the word once. And I tell you why, because I want to... This word is printed in the newspaper. And normally, when racially charged words are printed in the newspaper, they'll do asterisks. So N asterisk, asterisk, or P asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Unless they printed the word. I'm going to say it once, and this is the only time we're going to say it in this show, OK? But I'm going to put it out there. The question boils down to, is the word chinky offensive? Now, if you were offended by me saying that word then, and that's the only time we're going to hear that word on this show, I promise. If you were offended by me saying that word then, could you give me a call now and tell me why? 03453 009956. I tell you why. I don't know if that word is offensive. I don't know if it is. Easy for me to say, I'm a white middle-class fella, not Chinese. So if you were offended by that word, give me a call. And if you're not offended by that word, likewise, 03453 009956. We can kind of address the poofter issue, and do you notice how free and easily I'm saying that? Kerry Smith said these words in a secretly recorded phone call. Nigel Farage has now come out and said, well, what do you say if you're having a Chinese? Nigel, this is from the Mail, it's in loads of the papers. Nigel Farage has defended a candidate who described a Chinese woman as a C word, claiming he is a rough diamond who grew up in a council estate. The UKIP leader received calls to sack Kerry Smith after the councillor made a string of comments, including a reference to a sea bird, mocking poofters and making jokes about shooting peasants. Now, I've heard most of this phone conversation. Not all of it. I've not heard the Chinese bird bit. But the shooting the peasants line, oh, it's just a throwaway stupid joke. It's nothing. That's nothing. The references to the gays and the bisexuals... He seems to be taking offence that there is a breakaway UKIP group that is for, I never know the correct letter, the bisexual, lesbian and transgender and gay groups. And it's using the UKIP flag, and he says that's flipping disgusting. OK. We can talk about those things if you want. But it's really this ch word, this Chinese abbreviation word that I'm most interested in. I personally don't say it. OK, I have said it in the past. I don't say it now. My brother-in-law is half Chinese. And I make up he would be offended by that. But do you say it? Do you say, if you're going to have a Chinese meal, should we order a Chinese meal tonight, a C-word meal tonight? Shall we order that? LGBT, thank you. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, thank you. That's the correct order. Do you say that word? I don't think... Oh, by the way, Brad, could you pick up your phone, please? Mate, Producer Joe's trying to call you. I don't think the C word... This is so confusing, isn't it? I don't think the abbreviation for Chinese is as offensive as the abbreviation for Pakistani or the N-word. I don't think it is. I guess part of it is to do with the intent behind it. If you know, there's a Chinese fella in the street and you go, oi, C-word, then that obviously is completely inappropriate and completely offensive. But to me, again, I have to stress, I am a white, middle-class, middle-aged bloke. The C-word does not have the same connotations, the same weight, the same offensive history as the P-word or the N-word. But then I think, well, would I say it to a Chinese fella? No, I wouldn't. So that means I know that it must be wrong slightly. Can you see where I'm going with this? I'm a little bit lost. I think... I mean, listen, Kerry Smith had no option but to go. But I do think that's an overreaction. I think Kerry Smith... I think it is an overreaction that he lost his job, or he lost his candidacy. Am I agreeing with Nigel Farage on something that could be slightly borderline racist? Yeah, I think I am. I don't know. I really need your help sorting my head out on this one. 03453 009956. And can we just... I don't need to, but I probably should because it's the BBC. Let's just bear in mind we've got young ears listening today, please, OK? Thank you. Terry's in Perry Bar. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning. Did you say you were a little lost this morning?
Yes.
I wish you would get lost. The word pufter, please don't use it. It's highly offensive.
OK, this is interesting. Tell me why.
Well, any abbreviation is offensive.
But it's not an abbreviation, is it?
Well, where does it come from, then?
I haven't got the foggiest. What's the etymology of the word? I don't know.
Well, I suppose it's powder puffing, something light and furry. Whatever, it's just offensive. It's like the word faggot.
Is it like the word faggot? Now, you're a gay fella, Terry, so you have more rights to be offended by this word than I do, and I appreciate you calling in and talking about this. But, OK, why are you offended? Let's try and get to the bottom of this. Why are you offended by that P word?
Because I don't like any derogatory term. You know where the word faggot comes from? Apart from being a black country dish.
Go on.
In the Middle Ages, a faggot was a piece of wood used to burn homosexuals.
OK, well, I wouldn't use that word.
No.
But I want to know why you're offended by the word pufter.
Well, why shouldn't I be?
Well, but you have to. Surely there has to be if you're offended, but you don't have a reason for it, then
well, of course, I've got
that doesn't count.
But I'm a gay man.
Yeah, but no. But why are you offended by that specific word?
Because it's derogatory.
Why is it derogatory?
Because it's just derogatory, that's why.
But why is it derogatory? I'm trying to get to, again, an inappropriate choice of phrase. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. Why is it derogatory?
I don't know how to explain why it's derogatory. It's just derogatory.
Terry, with the greatest of respect...
OK, then we will.
With the greatest respect, I think you do have to get to the bottom of it, because I could just say I'm offended, by any word, but it's meaningless unless there is a reason for it.
OK, then we're going back to sexuality. You've got heterosexuality, bisexuality, homosexuality. Why just can't it be sexuality instead of sticking bloody labels on it? Labels are for clothes, not people. I do not like any derogatory term.
Well, but we've still not got to why it's derogatory, and I don't know if it is. What about the word queer?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I apologise if I'm wrong, but the politically correct word for homosexual in America is queer. I'm queer and I'm here. I don't find that offensive.
But that was used as a derogatory term in the 70s and the 80s.
Only by homophobes.
Well, but then who's using the word pufter in a derogatory term?
Well, I don't use it. It's only homophobes.
Well, exactly. But hang on a minute. You're saying that queer is okay, but pufter isn't. And I don't know why. And I'm not saying this to be offensive. I'm not saying this to have a go. I don't know. I don't know why one word is okay and one word isn't.
Well, let's get to the origin of the word gay. There was a guy in America got so pissed off.
What's your language? Steady. That's a yellow card. Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry. It's just we've got to be careful today because we're going to be sailing close to the wind.
He was getting so fed up of all these derogatory terms. He thought, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to think of, if they're going to label us, let's think of a label that's really going to get up their noses. So gay is a complete contradiction. He thought, oh, yeah, it's happy. And, yeah, we're all gay. That'll get up their noses.
Terry, listen, thank you very much indeed. Apologies, category C swear word, apologies. I'm sure none of you are offended by that. Is it about reclaiming derogatory terms? It's like the black community can freely use the M-word in music and in conversation, and they can freely use the M-word. I use the M-word now. I get a phone call, I'm off the air. I don't even get a phone call. The switch gets pulled. And I don't... I need more members of the gay community to call in and tell me if you're offended by the word pufter. Is it the intent behind the word? And you have to have a reason why you're offended, don't you? Don't you? Oh, this could be an interesting one today. 03453 009956 915. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz.
Morning, Iain. In Hensford this morning, the A460 in both directions is queuing in roadworks around Walker's Rise. Already a lot of congestion just north of the town. Temporary lights in place. It's because of gas work going on. At the M5 as you head south, that breakdown has gone now after Junction 5, the Droitwich turn and the A38. Routes around Birmingham city centre are looking okay so far, around by Digbeth and the bus station, and as you head along Hagley Road towards Five Ways Island. Your match day travel today sees West Brom fans heading to QPR, West London, down the M40 onto the M25, and then the M4 is all looking clear so far. No delays reported either as you head north, Blues fans towards Huddersfield via the M6 and the M62. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
The Ed Doolan Christmas Show.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen.
Starring Calabro.
Let it go, and I'll rise like the break of dawn.
Birmingham comedy legend Jasper Carrott.
My back's killing me. 2 hours playing piggyback with my 5-year-old granddaughter, and I fell off.
Black country comedian Doug Parker.
Because you girls are the archaeologists. You keep on digging up things from the past.
Welcome on stage, Navin Kundra.
And the BBC Big Band.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Father Christmas.
The Ed Doolan Christmas Show. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day from midday.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. It's going to be an interesting one today. I don't know if there is a definitive right or wrong answer. I guess we're talking about language is what it boils down to, and what words are deemed offensive. I've just got to warn you again, we've got young ears listening. Whenever I try and present one of these shows, I try and imagine my nearly 5 and nearly 3-year-old boys are listening, and would I be comfortable? We're getting really close to what I would be uncomfortable with. I don't mean we can't have this conversation, but we just need to be aware. Kerry Smith, UKIP candidate, former UKIP candidate, got the boot for using the C word in terms of abbreviating the word Chinese. Talks about shooting peasants. I'm not bothered by that. And he used the word pufta, which I'm now becoming slightly hesitant to use. After Terry's call and after speaking to a member of the team, maybe I am throwing it out there too flippantly. Maybe it is a stronger word than I imagine. And can I know, really, as a white, middle-class, middle-aged, heterosexual man, can I know that these words are offensive? 03453 009956. I guess we're focusing on two words, the abbreviation for Chinese and... let's say the P word for the moment, although we may go back to using it a bit later on. Dave's in Sutton. Good morning, Dave.
Hello, Ian. Great show, Jojo, mate.
Thank you, boss. What would you like to say?
Right, Ian, right. I work with a few Pakistani friends, right, in my job, right? Now, on occasions, right, you know, when you're chatting as blokes do and whatever else, right, I'll get one of them say to me, when they're talking about one of the other Pakistani guys, I'll see that he's a right stupid abbreviated down, right, to, you know what I mean? So how come it's okay for him to say about his own kind if he's talking to me and it's not offensive, but if I was to say it, or you were to say it, all of a sudden we're getting branded as racist or what have you, do you know what I mean? This is...
Have you asked him?
Pardon?
Have you asked him?
Why he says that?
No, have you asked him how he would feel if you said it?
To be honest, no, I haven't, no.
Oh, I would do. Next time he says it, just say, look, can we stop time out for a second?
It isn't just the one guy, like, you know, I'll get a couple... They might say to me, you know, we're talking in the canteen or whatever, look, that stupid abbreviated word. You know, he did
there are two things here.
He did this or he did that, you know. But that's the question I'm asking is, if I abbreviated it down, or you did, we'd be branded as racist or whatever.
It's context.
He's doing it, and there's no issues with it.
Well, it's. I think part of it is, if I were you, next time that conversation pops up, I'd say, look, can we just stop for a second? How would you guys feel if I used that P word? Because it'll be interesting to find out. But I guess it's context, isn't it, really? And those groups, the Pakistanis, can refer to themselves as P words. Black people can refer to themselves as the M words. There's this horrible phrase, I don't quite understand what it means. They've reclaimed the words, haven't they? They have taken those words back. And what I guess that means is they've taken those words have been used for so long by people in positions of superiority, and I guess I mean wealthy white people, as a controlling and derogatory term.
Yeah.
That by them using the word themselves, they're taking the sting out of the tail, aren't they?
Well, probably, but
I think.
Well, no, you're more than you're probably right there, mate. But I'm just saying, to me, it does smack a kind of double standards as such. You know that instantly, you know.
But why would you want to say that word?
Well, I don't. I mean, I don't want to say it, to be honest.
Then why are you bothered?
We live in, we live in a totally different world to, we did 20, 30, 40 years. But as I said, but you're right. Next time he comes out with it, I'll say to him, well, don't you feel offended saying that about it? But obviously,
Dave, I appreciate your call. And if you do ever have that conversation, give us a call and let us know how it goes. There's also a thing, isn't there, of people, maybe Dave kind of falls into this category, white people wanting to be offended that they can't use certain words. But why would you want to say the P word? Why would you want to say the N word? Why? We know that they are loaded words that come with a whole history. So why would you want to? 03453 009956. Why are we talking about Kerry Smith a few days after it's happened, the UKIP candidate who used choice language? Well, because Nigel Farage has come out and defended him. He's defended the former UKIP candidate who was recorded using the abbreviation for the word for Chinese and the P word for gay people. Mr. Farage said a lot of people spoke like Kerry Smith, who stood down after the recording emerged. He says, well, what would you say if you're ordering a Chinese? Well, we can ask Jeffrey Yap, head of festivities for Chinese New Year in Birmingham. Morning, Jeffrey.
Morning, Iain. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm assuming you are of Chinese origin.
Yes, I am.
OK. Is the C word, and, the abbreviation for Chinese, is that an offensive word?
In history, yes. In history, chinks are, the word C, chink, it is very derogatory to the Chinese people, offensive, right? But as far as, I think the Chinese community knows that people do call them that, in normal layman languages. But to come off from a politician, it should not be. Because the world has moved on.
Yeah, you've just thrown another interesting thing into it. This guy was hoping to be a politician,
That's
and
right.
I suppose...
I think he has withdrawn now, as I get it.
Yeah, but I suppose we expect slightly higher standards from people representing us in Parliament and councils, don't we?
That's right. I mean, at this moment in time, even all city councils around the country are promoting inward investment from China. To call these type of thing, by a politician is, you're discouraging, inward investment from China.
Jeffrey, the C word, to me, doesn't feel as loaded, doesn't feel as hateful as the P word for Pakistani and the N word. Is it the context? If I were to see you in the street and go, "Oi, look, there's a C word," that's different to me phoning up and ordering a C word meal, isn't it?
Well, it all depends on how... I mean, my side is this. I think it's offensive to the Chinese people. Maybe, why can't you call them Chinese? Can I have a Chinese takeaway? Or an Indian takeaway? You call it an Indian takeaway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like people going to Australia. If the Brits go over to Australia, would you like the Australian to call you pommies?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I don't...
It's a context, all right, from the layman, from the, people uneducated, coming from politician, I strongly agree that he has said the wrong word.
Because pommies, I don't think, is a good example. I don't think there are any examples of offensive names that you could call a white person, because pommies isn't really offensive.
Well,
limeys isn't really offensive. Honky isn't offensive.
If you call an Irish guy a paddy, they don't like it.
I don't think they mind it, Jeffrey. I don't know. Because I guess the P word and the C word and the M word, they come from a position of white superiority back in the day, don't they?
That's right. It's over the centuries, you see, during the Qing dynasty.
It's a fascinating thing because I don't think we take racism towards Chinese people perhaps quite as seriously as we do towards black people and Asian people.
That's right.
Pakistanis and Indians.
No, Yeah, that's right. I mean, basically, I think the Chinese people are very low-profile people. They're not aggressive, or I mean, they tend to keep themselves to themselves. I mean, as far as possible. But I think, on the context when you asked me the question, for a politician to mention that word, I think it's inappropriate.
We've heard from Pakistani members of the community calling themselves the P word, and we know that black people call themselves the M word. Do Chinese people ever refer to themselves as the C word?
No.
No.
We don't call ourselves that.
Jeffrey, it's really good talking to you this morning. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much indeed. Jeffrey Yap, Head of Festivities for Chinese New Year in Birmingham. Hey, Birmingham, you're the 9th most exciting place in the world to visit. Did you know that? We may talk about that later on, because I love Birmingham. Love it. The 9th most exciting place in the world to visit? Is that from a person who's only ever been to 9 places? Really? If you can... In fact, we'll throw this out now. If you can tell me why Birmingham is the 9th most exciting place in the world to visit, 03453 009956, because I've been scratching my head all week since I heard this story, trying to work out why. You got some good restaurants, you got some good shops, you got a massive library that's not going to be open for very long. It's got more canals than Venice. That's it, isn't it? 03453 009956. Back to the offensive word. So there we have it. A Chinese person has told us that the C word is offensive. I'm still trying to get my head around, though, whether this is kind of just one of those attacks, one of those bias attacks on UKIP, because in the context of the conversation... Let's go to Mary and Dudley. Mary, I'm really struggling with this one this morning.
Well, of course, sure. Describing people by their features is offensive.
Mary, is your radio on? If it is, could you turn it off for us, please?
Yes.
We're just getting a bit of the Larson effect.
OK, so describing people by their features is offensive. But we very often whites are referred to as honkies sometimes.
But you're not offended by that, are you?
I'm not offended by anything. I think people who take offence, it's their own fault. They shouldn't take offence. And the shade, I miss it in describing a shade of brown, but that's all really.
This is for those who don't know. This is true. You used to be able to go into shops and say you wanted to buy a carpet. What colour carpet would you like? Brown. What shade of brown? N brown.
Yes.
That was on the colour charts. N brown.
Yes.
Can you believe that? You don't really miss it though, Mary, do you? Your life isn't that much harder because of it.
I found it at first hard not to refer to the shade of brown like that. So you were aware of it. I am offended by homosexuals calling themselves gay because I really miss that little word. But I've got to go now, so I'm sorry. I've got to go.
OK, bye, Mary. Okay. Great conversation there. Yeah, you used to be able to go into shops. I'd like to get some curtains, kind of a brown. What shade? Yeah, M brown, please. Isn't that weird? Isn't the world a funny place? Within living memory, that was a thing. And a friend of mine's nan recently went into John Lewis to buy, I think it was curtains, and said she wanted M brown curtains. Oh, ho, ho, ho! But we don't miss the N word. It doesn't make our life any harder. And I really want to talk to Mary about gay, because, come on, we don't miss the word gay. I mean, you can still say, I'm feeling a bit gay today. Yeah, you'll get some sniggers from the back of the class, but, you know, to people that generation, it still means it. But we don't miss the word gay. Just because gays took it, it doesn't damage our language anymore, does it? Maylene's on the line. Morning, Maylene.
Good morning, my dear.
What would you like to say?
Well, I'd just like to say about the C word and the N word.
Yeah.
The C word, definitely, it was just as bad as the N word because the Chinese people were treated just as bad as black people. I mean, I'm black myself. And to be treated in that way, people forget that people were treated badly just because you were black. And it not only described your color, it described your worth and how you were treated. So when people use that word to you, you do you do take offense with it. Because there are people today who still think and feel in that same way as they used to. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do know what you're trying to say. Let me put forward a counter-argument that I don't quite buy into, but some people do.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got an email. There's an email here from Ben. People can get offended by whatever they like. For instance, I'm offended by ginger jokes, but I'm not taken seriously. Why not? Why are my feelings not as important as Pakistanis, black, gay or fat people? Offence is subjective, so does that mean everything is offensive, or everyone should just get over it because it's just words? How about that?
Well, I think
Maylene,
that's come from someone who don't know what it's like to be treated in a certain way simply because you're black. Because I'm 71.
Yeah.
I came to this country when I was 15. I come from Barbados, and I can still remember how it was like to be treated as black people. Because you weren't treated with any worth. You were treated as you were less valued than anyone else, just because of the color of your skin. This is not something that we just imagine. This was a fact. So when someone refers to you as, the end, sometimes you let it fly. You don't, sometimes you just overlook it. But there are times when you take it damn serious. Because there are some people who simply, and who to this very day, who still thinks and feels that simply because you are the way you are, or you look the way you do, that you're somehow less than they are.
You're out in the shops, Maylene.
Sorry?
And you're out in the shops, okay?
Yes, you get it. You get it in the shops. You get it
Do you?
in the shops. You can get it on the bus.
You don't get it in the shops. In 2014?
Yes, my dear, yes. Very much so. Very much so.
And is it someone talking about you behind your back, or is it directed at you?
To your face, and simply in the way they refer to you, in the way they treat you, the way they dismiss you, yes.
They call you the N-word?
Yes. No, they don't. No, they don't use the word, but they treat you that way. When they use the N-word, that's simply personify what they're thinking and how they're thinking and how they're feeling.
How have you been treated then that makes you think that this is coming from a racist point of view?
You could tell by the look on them, because I've met enough of them in my life to know one when you see him. And he can look at me, or she can look at me, and I look at her, and I know definitely what direction she's coming from.
But is she treating you differently?
Yes. You meet it. Yes, it is something that happens. It isn't.
Well, give me an example. Give me a physical. Give me an actual example.
How can I describe it? It's in the way they treat you, on what they say.
But how do you know? As you've never been a white person, how do you know they're treating you differently to the way they treat a white person? They just might be an unpleasant person that treats everyone badly.
No, not necessarily. They've got mean people. They've got mean black people. I got news for you. Some black people can be racist too against black people. It's part of the colonial history.
Because there might be some people, Maylene, and I might be one of those people that thinks perhaps that perhaps some of this is real, but perhaps some of this is just perceived and imagined, and could be a chip.
No, you felt enough of it, and you experienced enough of it to know when it's genuine. Not everyone who says use the N-word naturally. They might use it, but they're not definitely racist. They might use the word sometimes even without really understanding the full connotation of what they're saying.
Maylene, stay there. Millie's on the line. Morning, Millie.
Good morning. Millie,
you phoned up just to have another chat with... Oh, I'll shut up, shall I?
Parish are you from?
St. John, my dear.
St. John?
Yes, Millie.
Sherburn.
Sorry?
By Sherburn.
No, but Savannah.
I don't really know St. John, but I know my friend Pauline, she's from Sherburn.
Do you agree with what I'm saying, or are we going to fall out like we did before? Am I right in the way people were treating black people just because of the color of their skin?
In Barbados, my headmaster was white.
Yes. At that time, most of the jobs went to white.
And lots of people are white. We make white.
Millie, I know. We're from the same place, and I don't know what it was like. Definitely, you were judged and treated according to the color, and it was the same as case. We were referred to, she's got a color, and when you say you've got color, the higher your color was, that being white. The lower your color was black.
The only thing I didn't like if it's called me a nigger.
Whoa, Millie, listen. No, ladies, turn their microphones down for a second, because I need to... No. Come on. We have done so well to avoid that word, and we are deliberately avoiding that word, because as we just discussed, it causes a lot of offence. So, apologies to anyone that was offended by that word. and we will continue the conversation. Watch yourselves, please. Millie, Maylene, you're back. Watch yourselves.
Listen to me. It's such a word in the dictionary, yes?
All right, we're not going to the dictionary, but whatever I'm saying is, it is the way people were treated. That's like the Chinese. The Chinese, they were treated as that word, and they were treated appallingly.
It's a Ching. Ching is only the abbreviation of...
Millie.
It was a racial term, it was meant to treat people differently, and you know it. It was a racial term. It was a derogatory term, and it was people were judged and treated according to the color of their skin, and the Chinese were treated just as badly. They were treated just as badly.
Maylene, let Millie come back, and let's all hover over Millie's fader, shall we? Millie, go on.
Yeah, most of my friends are white people, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we make jokes, patting me, because we one of the things.
Oh yes,
we just make jokes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we joke. But there's a difference between a joke.
Well,
I don't. Serious.
What you call me? Call me the black woman of Aston.
Okay. All right, listen, Millie Maylene, thank you very much indeed. Again, apologies if anyone was offended by that. It was bound to happen, wasn't it, having this conversation? It was bound to happen, but... We've done so well. Listen, Millie, Maylene, I really appreciate that. So it turns out that you can use that word within friends for some people, but some people are offended by these words, and some people aren't offended by these words, and some people think we should never say these words, and some people think that Chinese people have had it easier than black people. Some people think that actually all races that are not white should have all had it tough. And then we've got Ben emailing saying, well, hang on, he's a ginger. And gingers are the only people that we can still legitimately bully, aren't they? I think that's changing. But they're the only people that we can legitimately still make the fun out of. You know, if you've got a pregnant friend, I bet you hope he's not a ginger. That still happens. Is Ben, as a ginger person, allowed to get as offended as Maylene is by the N-word, and as Chinese people are by the C-word, and Pakistanis are with the P-word? 03453 009956. Well, this has expanded quicker than I was expecting to. James, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening, yeah.
Morning, James, you all right?
Yeah. It's just,
what would you like to say?
I was listening to Millie and the other woman, and I agree
Maylene,
with... Not Millie, yeah. I don't agree with Millie with what she said, but I do agree with the other woman. I mean, it's kind of on the point that I was going to say, is that I hate it when other black people... I'm a black guy myself, and I hate it when other black guys call each other the N-word, because to me they're just derogatory their ancestors who fought, for to be treated as human beings and not to be used in that derogatory term. It is a derogatory term that was used by slave owners to what they used to call their slaves, and it does mean lazy, good for nothing. It is a derogatory term, and to hear other black guys calling it and hear rappers using it in their songs, it just makes me angry.
James, can I ask you a question that I wouldn't normally ask, but I think it's pertinent to this conversation? How old are you?
I'm 43.
Maybe it's a younger thing. Maybe, and as a 41-year-old man, I say this with the greatest respect, maybe you're too old to fully appreciate the reclaiming of the N-word.
No, I think maybe they're too young to actually have respect for their ancestors for what they went
comeback.
Through and stop treating it as a cheap word, in the way they're trying to, reclaiming it. You can't reclaim words like that. To me, them words should not be reclaimed.
And I'm not totally sure I buy the reclaiming of the word, but let's assume I do for a moment. If you reclaim the word within your own community, then you're taking the power away from the racists and the bullies that would use that word as an insult.
I don't think you are, because then you get in white guys who think... No fault. I don't think some of it is their fault. So some of them know what they're doing, but I don't think it's all of them. Some of them think, black guys using it, so it's okay to use it. And then it causes a problem with people saying, racism and all that. But some of them, genuinely, I'm not saying all of them, but genuinely some of them think it's okay to use because they hear black guys using it. But it was also something that you said earlier on about when you was talking about the Chinese. When you said something about white people being superior.
Yeah.
Right, you said that they were superior. Now, to me, that isn't superiority. Doesn't come from they weren't superior, because when you take over another man's country, when you put people into slavery, when you actually go into another country and treat the people like rubbish, that doesn't make you superior. That actually
it does.
It doesn't.
Well, no, it puts you... No, it puts you...
You explain
I will.
to me, how does that make you superior?
I will, James. Spiritually and metaphorically and all of those things, of course, it doesn't make you a better person. It makes you a worse person, if worse is indeed a word. But it puts you in a position of literal superiority.
It doesn't. I'm sorry. I disagree with you. If you go into another man's country and you take over and you put people into slavery, which is one of the worst things you could do, or go into another man's country and cause divisions, which the white Europeans have done throughout time and caused wars, then how does that make you superior to the man who's just been living just been living a normal life with no troubles till you turned up? How does that make you superior?
I'll try and explain it again. Spiritually... and all those kind of things, of course, it makes you a lesser person. It makes you worse than the people that you are subjugating. But literally, it puts you in a position of superiority. Because you are in control over those people. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's justified. Of course, it's a heinous thing. I'm not in any way defending it, but you are literally superior.
No, I disagree. I mean, I know what you're trying to say. I know what you're trying to justify. Well, I wouldn't say you're trying to justify it. You're trying to put a polite term on it. But
no, I'm not trying to. No, I'm not trying to justify or put a polite term on anything. You are in a position of superiority. If I am a slave master and I have a slave and I'm subjugating them to slavery, I am in a position of superiority. That's a fact. That's a fact.
In your eyes.
That's a fact.
It's not a fact. It's in your eyes. You would see yourself as being superior.
No,
you would only be superior if the people around you see you as being superior, or if everyone agreed that you were superior. But you're not superior because nobody really agrees with you being superior, apart from the people in your own community who are treating the people exactly the same way as you are. That's the only way you would see yourself as being superior. The only way you can be superior is if everyone agrees, without no oppression or anything, that you are superior.
No, if I have a prisoner, okay, in my house and I lock them up and I'm in complete control of them, when they eat, when they work, when they sleep, when they see other people, I am in a position of superiority.
In your eyes?
No, in the literal definition of the word superiority.
Well, we'll have to agree to disagree, because I'm not going to agree with what you're saying. I'm not, in your eyes, you see that as being superior, but in the eyes of everyone else who would be affected by it, to me, someone anything that would be superior is if everyone agrees to it. Now, when people don't agree to it,
James,
then that's
James, listen, let's move on, because you're not. Thanks very much for calling. You're not listening to the actual definition of the word superior. Not in any way justifying slavery in the slightest. Of course I'm not. You're in a position of superiority. My boss is in a position of superiority over me. It doesn't make them a superior person. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. You can also text. This is fun, isn't it? Are you enjoying this? This is another reason why I love doing this show, is because I had no idea we were going to go off in this tangent. Can I just throw back to something that I mentioned that may have got lost when we were speaking to Maylene and Millie? This is the email from Ben. Ben says, people nowadays are looking for something to get offended by. I'm offended by ginger jokes, but it's not taken seriously. Do ginger people have the right to be the same right to be offended by jokes and derogatory terms about them as black people do, as Pakistanis do, as Indians do, as Chinese people do, etc., etc., etc.? Now, I bet you're probably saying, no, they don't. And I bet if you're saying that, you're not ginger. Let me throw that into the mix. If you are ginger, are you offended by all the ginger jokes? 03453 009956. It's coming up to 10:15. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz.
Iain, thank you. The A460 around Hensford is queuing in both directions around Walker's Rise. Now, there's temporary lights there at this junction while gas main work's going on just to the north of town. So that's the reason why it's looking particularly congested. Otherwise, routes around Wolverhampton seem to be moving quite nicely so far. No delays reported as you head into Birmingham along Hagley Road. Your matchday travel sees Baggies fans heading off to West London for their game against QPR. Down the M40 and the M25, all looking pretty good. No accidents or incidents reported. Blues fans going to Huddersfield. Along the M6, it's all looking clear. Just looking at the Highways Agency cameras as you head towards the Croft interchange, the M62, which is also trouble-free. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
This Christmas on BBC WM 95.6.
Join me, Chris Tarrant, for some special programmes.
Chris Tarrant interviews famous faces from the West Midlands.
Bob Warman, Nick Owen, Anchormen. That's what it says here. Meet the West Midlands' very own Anchormen.
It's the amount of people who come and say to you, I grew up watching you. I grew up watching these people are in their 40s.
Yeah. I'll tell the story of the outrageous success that was Tiswas.
Tiswas set the tone for every Saturday morning children's programme.
And catch up with the most famous stupid boy of them all.
Well, if it's on over Christmas, that means we can go to the pub.
Yeah. God bless you. You're a very nice man.
Oh, thank you. It's been such fun talking to you at last.
This year, Christmas time is Chris Tarrant time.
Starts Christmas Day from 2
on BBC WM 95.6.
It's not a particularly seasonal conversation we're having this morning, but I'm enjoying it. I hope you are as well. We're discussing, all thanks to Kerry Smith, the UKIP councillor who got the boot after using the abbreviation for Chinese and talking about PUFTAs. He's got the boot. Farage has come out and said, well, really? The ch word, it's not really that offensive, is it? Is it? Easy to say from a position of being a white, middle-class, middle-aged person. 03453 009956. I've had a couple of tweets about this. Jackie's been sending me a load of tweets. Jackie, I can tell from your picture, is black. That word, the M word, has never left my mouth. Historically, perhaps not offensive. Offensive, nevertheless. I think that's the word you're referring to, Jackie. I'm not sure. Unless I've missed something. As a white middle-class male, you are in a privileged position. Born to, not claimed. I don't quite know what that means. So, we've then got on to talking about the M-word, the P-word. Can ginger people be offended? Where do we stop? Malcolm's in Bourneville. Good morning, Malcolm.
Morning, Gladys. Hey, listen,
see, you're full of the Christmas spirit.
I only found in because that Chinese word, what you call the C word,
yes.
Isn't it in that song, The Great Big Melting Pot? I'm sure it's in there. I might be wrong, but I'm sure they say that when they're saying all the great big melting pot about melting everything up, you know.
Let's get the great big melting pot. Basically, that's a song about how wonderful the world is because we're all different
races up and colours and things. See?
Yeah, but
sure
just because it's in
that.
Just because it's in a song doesn't mean that it's an acceptable word.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying I'm sure it was in that. That's why people might say it, you see.
It's by
Blue
Blue
Mink.
Mink.
Days, perhaps.
Blue Mink, and the song is called Melting Pot. And
yeah, that's
my...
it, see.
Oh, here we go. Oh, it does say that. Yes, curly... oh, blimey. Curly Latin kinkies mixed with yellow... If you lump it all together, well, you got a recipe for a get-along scene. Oh, what a beautiful dream. If it could only come true, you know. Take a pinch of white man, wrap him up in black skin, add a touch of blue blood. That's the song, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
you don't need to sing it. The weather's all right at the moment.
Listen, I'll have you know, fella, I've got a cracking voice. I've got a cracking voice. Hey, listen,
Yeah, go
Malcolm,
on.
Birmingham,
yes.
the 9th most exciting place in the world.
What, Birmingham?
Birmingham!
You've got to be kidding.
Honestly, it's the 9th... what was it? Not the Good Food Guide, the Rough Guide have come out and said it's the 9th most exciting place in the world. Now, I love Birmingham. I'm one of those people that used to knock it until I came here to work. And now I love it. I think it's a great place. I think it's a brilliant place.
Yeah.
The 9th most exciting place in the world, though? That's got to be a load of old guff.
Yeah, well, it's just all this trying to promote things again, isn't it? You know, money again, you see. Trying to promote people to come and spend their money, you say, because the the council and all the other people won't do it properly, you see.
Well, but hang on, but
it's not...
it's the Rough Guide, though. They're an independent you know, kind of tourists. I wonder what the other, the top 10 was. Joe, let's see if we can get the top 10. Yes, Malcolm.
Can I just say something? You know the N-word, what you was talking about?
Yes.
I was trying to explain that to one black guy once, that in them days when they was talking about slavery, right, where they got most of the black people from was from the place called Niger in Africa, wasn't it?
Yes, we call them Nigerians.
Yeah, that's right. No, there is a place, the actual country called Niger, and there's the River Niger.
I thought the River Niger flowed through Nigeria. I didn't think there was a place called Niger.
No, there is a place called Niger, yeah.
The Republic of Niger. Okay, yeah.
So, well, you see, in them days, the way the poor seamen and the British, when they were Shanghai and all that, when they say, well, where are these people from? Because they couldn't say Niger, they used to say N-I, and that's how it stuck. You see what I mean?
But that word, it's the evolution of language, which is why the English language is so marvellous. It evolved into a controlling and derogatory term, didn't it?
That's right. That's how they, because they used to say, oh, come and get those out. Well, because they used to say like that derogatory term, and not as it should have been, Nigers or something like that. They used to say it like with pronounce the I differently in the old days. That way they used to speak.
Malcolm, don't ladder any of your stockings this Christmas as you're trying to put them on, fella. I hope you have a good one. Let's go to Harry. Morning, Harry.
Morning.
Sue, stay there. Be with you next.
Okay.
Yeah, what have you got for us, Harry?
Well, getting away from the political and the racial thing, what about all the terms that are used in this country, such as baldy and shorty and lofty and fatty and skinny and spastic and moron and... we could go on all day, couldn't we?
There are some of those. There is at least one word in that list that that has evolved into a position that we don't use anymore. We don't call people spastics anymore.
No, I know, but
because that was
it was
that was
actually
taken,
the name of the society that helped
the Spastic
them,
Society.
It?
Yes, of course it was.
And
spastic is a legitimate medical term.
Yes.
But it also got taken over by bullies and people who would use it as a derogatory term. So that's why we don't use spastic anymore. And I think the Spastic Society is scope now, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But all those other terms, lofty and lanky and four eyes, they don't come from a position of holding power over someone or subjugation, do they?
No, but to some people are very sensitive to them, aren't they? I'm not. I mean, I'm bald. Anybody could call me baldy all day long and it wouldn't bother me, you know.
But the term baldy doesn't refer to hundreds of years of you and your ancestors being repressed, does it? It just means that you've got a genetic tick that means you've got no hair.
And do you know the bit I've got some round the sides over my ears and round the sides, and it's virtually stopped growing.
Oh.
It's not getting less, but it's just not growing.
So you've got like a massive bald dome and bits around the side, but it won't grow any longer?
No.
That must be disappointing.
I haven't had a haircut since mid-August.
Well, it saves you a few quid, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Does it? Do you kind of polish your bald head?
Not really, no.
No. Because I would make that... If I had I will never go bald. I've got a thick head of hair and it will just go grey and stay. But I would polish that bad boy like there was no tomorrow.
I've got a goatee beard and Wiggins sideburns.
Oh, gosh, what a stylish, hip gentleman you are.
And a moustache, and they're growing.
Oh. Yeah.
And I'm letting the in-between grow for Christmas, so like before the
When you say the in-between, what do you mean by that? What hair are you referring?
Between the beard and the sideburns.
Thank you very much indeed. I was getting worried there. Well, listen, Harry, have a good hairy Christmas. Hairy Christmas?
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, boss. See you later on. Ta-ta. 03453 009956. You don't see many people with the monk's haircut anymore. You know, the kind of bald patch at the back. You don't see that. There used to be a band called The Monks in the 60s, and they all had the Monk's haircut. You don't see that. And also what you don't see in this country so much, you see it a bit in the States, is bald men with the hair around the side, but really letting it grow quite shaggy. You don't see that, and that disappoints me. Bald men, there's so much more you could do with your little remnants of hair. Sue's in Sheldon. Morning, Sue.
Good morning.
What you got for us, Sue?
I'm a blind person. I've actually been called a blind bat and things like this. But, nothing's done about it. I've been threatened and things like this. I've spoken to the police about it, but nothing's done about that.
How blind are you?
I am registered as totally blind. But
So you can't see anything?
I have got a little bit of sight in my left eye, but it's no good.
Okay. And who's called you a blind bat then?
It was a neighbour, to be honest.
In what context did they use it? What was happening for them to call you that?
Well, we were in an argument, and she says, she just says, because I actually said something about her dad, which I shouldn't have said because he's not fat. But
oh, God.
I know.
Oh, blimey.
But I have apologised to him. She hasn't apologised to me. But she just says something in the way that, my dad's not fat, you're blind, you can't see, you're just a blind bat. Things like this.
Well, hang on a minute. We have to go back a little. We have to go back 2 or 3 steps on this.
Okay.
What did you say about her dad?
Well, it's a long story. They've got dogs and it kept jumping over our fence. So I told the dad, and he had to go at me saying, oh, it's about time you moved and all this sort of thing, like, because we were trying to move and stuff. And I said, oh, just shut up, you silly fat man. And
now, was the phrase, bearing in mind we have young ears, was the phrase, you silly fat man?
Something like that.
Was it your big fat B? Yes.
Similar. It was.
It wasn't a fat C, was it?
No, God, no.
So fat B?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
OK, right, yeah, go on. Here we go.
And I don't swear unless somebody swears at me. And he started it. He started using the F word.
Right,
and that's what got my back up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally say anything like that to anyone.
No.
And he's not even fat, so why I said it, I don't know.
He's not even fat?
No, and I have apologised to him. And, we're friends again now, there's nothing wrong with that. But his daughter hasn't apologised to me.
But she was sticking up for her dad, and I guess the thing is, if you called him a fat B, I mean, 2 wrongs don't make a right. You both sound like thoroughly pleasant people. But if you called him a fat B, then and that he's not fat, she was being accurate. You are a blind bat. I'm sorry, I realised where that sentence was going, and I couldn't find a way out of it. I do apologise, but it's probably your fault, Sue.
No, yeah, but her dad started
it. Isn't it about time you moved from there, my love?
Don't start. But apart from that, I've actually been refused to have a ride in the taxi because of my guide dog.
Oh, really? When did this happen?
I know I've actually been on your news before now. This happened back in March.
Because there was a story in the week about a lady, I think it was a lady, wasn't allowed in a cab because of a guide dog, and the driver got fined like 1,500 quid or something.
That's right, that's me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, I read your story this week, Sue.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because they're not allowed to... This is it. Sue, listen, we've got to end it there. I really appreciate your call, but... Oh, I didn't realise. I read your story. Yes, no, the places aren't allowed to refuse... guide dogs. I've heard this before of restaurants and bakeries. You can't bring that dog in. It's a guide dog. Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't bring that dog in. Oh, Sue, how funny. I read your story. This is really expanding out. We can carry on talking about this. Offensive terms, offensive language. Should we be offended by them? There isn't an offensive term for white people. It's certainly not one that gets me in the gut. Also in the next hour, Birmingham is the 9th most exciting place in the world. Why?
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
Hey, I'm enjoying this morning. 03453 009956. More of your calls after the news with Nicole.
A 28-year-old man has handed himself into police in Liverpool, investigating the murder of an off-duty police officer. PC Neil Doyle was killed in the early hours of yesterday morning after a night out in Liverpool city centre with some colleagues. Our correspondent Ed Thomas is in Liverpool.
Merseyside police say this was an unprovoked, vicious attack, but what is disturbing most of all is that police suspect that this group of off-duty officers were recognised as police officers, and that could have been one motive for the attack.
A Staffordshire woman missing from Wolverhampton's New Cross Hospital has been found. The patient disappeared from the hospital yesterday morning, and police said they were becoming very concerned for her safety. President Obama has accused Sony Pictures of caving into pressure from North Korea by cancelling the release of a film that mocks the country's leader. He said it was clear that North Korea was behind a damaging cyber attack on Sony that exposed much of the company's confidential information, but he said withdrawing the film was caving in and was a mistake. The West Bromwich Albion head coach Alan Irvine says his players have got to be ready to cope with the intensity of the QPR team and their fans at Loftus Road this afternoon. The whole game is live here on BBC WM 95.6, with the hosts having won all 14 of their points so far at home. And Irvine says he can understand why that's the case.
They're very good at home just now, and the crowd play a big part in that. They're extremely noisy. They're obviously right on top of the players, as you know, at Loftus Road, and they play at a tempo and intensity that you've got to be able to cope with at the beginning of the game in particular.
For the fourth year in a row, part of North East Hampshire has been named the area of Britain where people enjoy the best quality of life. The district of Hart retained its top spot in the survey by the Halifax because of several factors, including low crime rates, high average earnings, and the longevity of its residents. It even has 10% more sunshine than the UK average. The weather staying dry today and mild, but becoming very blustery in a brisk northeasterly wind. The top temperature this afternoon, 8 Celsius, 46 Fahrenheit. The wind will pick up as the day goes on, and the lowest temperature tonight, 4 Celsius. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Well, that was a fun hour. It went completely different to how I expected, and that's why phone-in radio is at its best when it's you lot that are driving it. Yeah, we get the odd guest every now and then that kind of just help us move the story on a bit or give us a little bit of insight from a different perspective. But you lot drove that last hour. We're talking about Kerry Smith, the former UKIP councillor who got the boot for using the abbreviation for Chinese, the P word for gays, and some other bits and pieces. At the start, I was kind of agreeing with Nigel Farage, who says, well, it's not that bad. I'm coming round to thinking, actually, it probably is that bad. It probably is. 03453 009956. We've
Have
gone
your say.
Oh.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Excuse my fat fingers. I was trigger happy there. I do apologise. Normally, as you know, this show is so slick and so smooth and technically proficient, but my big fat fingers got in the way there, so apologies for that. I've just got one big fat finger. And we've got the conversation, as always, with you lot has evolved. We've gone the M word, the P word. I am keen to kind of follow this route as well that Ben has said about ginger people. I'm offended by ginger jokes, but it's not taken seriously. It's starting to. I think it's starting to. But, where do we stop? Four eyes. People offended by the term four eyes? I don't know. I guess some people will be offended by the term. 03453 009956. I'm still trying as well, and I've been asking all morning, and none of you have been able to suggest any reasons why Birmingham is the 9th most exciting place in the world. The Rough Guide, which I used to like the Rough Guide books. I know there's probably an app now. Have cited Birmingham. We'll get the full top 10 at some point in this hour. Have cited Birmingham as the 9th most exciting place in the world. The 9th? Is this coming from a person who's only ever been to 9 places? I like Birmingham. It's great. You've got great food. You've got great shops, although I don't really, count shops as making something a particularly exciting place. What's so exciting about it? And I say that I want you to educate me. I'm not trying to knock the place. I love it here. I want you to educate me. Why is Birmingham the 9th most exciting place in the world? Or I can just imagine, you've got your Rough Guide books. You're living in America. You've got your Rough Guide books. You go, well, where should we go to? We could go to Cairo, or we could go to Hey, Birmingham! Birmingham! 03453 009956. Oh, and cyber attacks, cyber terrorism as well. Let's go to Alison in Kings Norton. Morning, Alison.
Good morning.
What you got for us?
I'm phoning about the P word.
Go on.
The P word for gay people.
Okay, yes.
I'm in my 50s, and for me that word has always had connotations of being light, airy, airheaded, without substance. And I think that's where things like airy-fairy come to, and then fairies and other...
Hang on, when the word pufter is never... You'd never call someone a pufter just because they were a little bit light-headed.
No, but I think the word pufter makes people think that all gay men especially are...
I tell you what I think of. The image that pops in... I see what you're saying. The image that pops into my head when that word is used is... I'm free?
Yes.
That man who set homosexuality back by 50 years. I can't remember his name.
Not strong.
John Inman.
Yes.
John Inman, yes.
Yeah. Definitely gives an image of not being strong, not being determined, but of being very whimsical, no substance.
Yeah, well, there's certainly no substance. Can you believe that one of the biggest, one of the most popular British television shows involved an old woman talking about her pussy and a gay man running around implying that he was up for casual sexual encounters with anybody?
That's the 70s.
That's the 70s?
Yeah.
Do ginger people have a right to be offended, Alison?
Well, I think things like hair colour shouldn't need to be changed, but they can be changed. Sexuality and skin colour can't be changed.
Well, they can. Skin colour can be changed.
Oh, okay.
There are examples, Michael Jackson being the most famous, of course, but there are examples of, in inverted commas, ordinary black people lightening their skin because they feel unhappy being black.
True.
And if people are resorting to that's bad news, isn't it?
We're just indigenous for labelling groups of people, and I don't think we should. We're all individual within whatever group people think we fit into. But I do think on the subject of these names offensive, I do find that offensive, even though, like I said, I'm a straight woman. I just think that's really implying that people have no substance and are pretty useless, really.
Alison,
a little
thank you.
bit like how they used to say about blondes and blonde jokes. The same sort of airy-fairy, whimsy.
Now, we don't get blonde jokes anymore, but blondes and Essex girls, those are the groups, Alison, aren't they, that are subject to abuse?
Yeah, but maybe that's a lead-on from this. To me, it's all the same sort of thing as this P word, that it's without substance, it's light, it's air-headed, it's bubble-headed, and that's not nice.
Alison, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. Yeah, kids, you think you've got it dangerous with your Keith Lemons and that who's that other fella? Lee Nelson. Is that a man? With their dangerous comedy. In the 70s, it was all about an old woman stroking her pussy and a gay man offering casual sexual encounters to any gentleman that approached him. That was Britain's biggest comedy in the 70s. It's insane. And not funny. John Inman set homosexuality back 50 years. Matt's in Solihull. Good morning,
Hello
Matt.
there. How are you getting on? You're winding them up again?
I'm just sitting here having a conversation, Matthew.
You told a man that his hair was turning grey to polish it.
Sorry?
You did, yes. You said he said his hair was going grey. He wears long locks, side locks, and he has long hair, but there's nothing on the top, and the bit that's going grey. You said, well, put polish in it. Well, my uncle one time he put polish in his lovely grey hair, and he went dancing. He was in the 70s. He got the touch of adventure, we'll call it, and he was dancing around with this polish, and he had a white shirt on him, and he started sweating, and the polish ran down on his white shirt, you know, and it didn't look a mess. But anyway, I have heard people call other people wearing glasses, oh, look at that four-eyed such a one over there, which I think was terrible, you know that?
Specky Four Eyes, yes. Becky Four Eyes, yes.
You see, you can call people, but we're on to this racist thing, you see. Now, I won't live all that long, but probably you will, because there's so many black people marrying into white people and brown people making... I lived with an Asian woman for a long time, and I didn't find anything wrong with her at all. She was a lovely person. She was as good as any white woman. She was clean, and she wasn't greedy for money, which was better than some of them. You know, and the poor thing, the only thing wrong with her, she smoked 70 fags a day, and the Lord above took her in, like, you know.
Yes, right. I'm not quite sure what the point is you're making. What, some black women are all right?
The whole lot of them. I see nothing. I have a lot of black women, my friends, but I lived with an Asian woman. They're just as good as white women. There's nothing in to me, I am not racist, and I don't... There's not many Irish people racist. Not very few. I mean... When we were kids, we saved up money to send missionaries out to Africa, and you know, and we got a boat there used to come, the Far East, and we used to see how the money that was sent there, they were building
so the
places.
Irish are not racist; they just don't hate slight variations on their religion.
Well, I don't know. I'm not too religious either. I'm a middle of the road man. I think religion is more your person, yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm a mixture of Protestant and Catholic. I had a granduncle, a person. You know,
just to go back to something you said, Matt, it's good, isn't it, that different colours and ethnicities and races are all marrying into each other?
Well, they are marrying in, and
that's got to be a good thing, hasn't it?
Well, a good thing, really, it is. But I am certainly not racist.
But
if I, you know, I talk to a lot of coloured people on the bus, and I know coloured people that come here way back years and years ago, and they're just like English people, you know.
Well, some of them are English.
Yes.
But, and here's a thing. Here's another thing, Kate, Matt, and this is a perfect example of the evolution of language, because we don't say coloured people anymore, Matt. It's now offensive to say coloured people. Well, and I know you're not saying it as a term of abuse or offence. You're saying it because you're from that particular generation. And well done you for talking to coloured people on the bus. That's good. But we don't say that word anymore.
Well, I probably do, because I'm used to saying it, and they don't take any... If I'm talking to one coloured man or black man about another coloured man that I knew years ago, I'd say, where did he move? I heard he went to Canada or someplace.
Oh, and you're assuming that...
He wouldn't get offensive because, you know, it was general talk. You know,
and are you assuming that black man would know where the other black man was?
Well, yes. Well, he might know him, you know, and that's the
same. He might do. Matt, thanks very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. There's a strong chance, that talking to... it's like when you go to America as a Brit. Oh, you're from London. Do you know the Smiths? Sorry, the band or the family? You're right. There's a strong chance, Matt, that black gentleman on the bus would know where the black gentleman you knew years ago had moved to. 03453 009956 is a perfect example, though, of how language moves on and changes, because we don't say coloured people anymore. I've been in rooms where someone said coloured people, and people have winced. In America, you know this, they don't say black people. African Americans. You say black to as a term of description to an American. Or I was speaking to some Americans on Facebook, and I was talking about I think we were talking about a musician. Can't remember. Anyway, I used the term black to describe someone. He was a black fella, and it was like I'd said the most offensive thing ever. They were all having a go at me. And then another American stepped in and said, hey, guys, don't be hard on him. He's British. They still use that word over there. It's good that we have protections in for minorities, isn't it? and to stop people being made to feel less than because of language. But you can take it a bit too far. 03453 009956. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news. Here's Liz.
Thanks, Ian. As you head around Hensford, it's looking a bit easier in those roadworks and the temporary lights affecting the A460 in both directions around Walker's Rise. Certainly the queues have eased off for the moment. Going into Birmingham isn't looking too bad. Little bit busy around Hagley Road towards Five Ways Island. Around Holloway Circus looking slightly congested as well. Coming into Birmingham along the Aston Expressway seems to be moving quite nicely. Just looking at the Highways Agency cameras into Wolverhampton is okay along the Black Country route. The A454 heading away from the M6, which in turn is looking okay. Speaking of the M6, your match day travel sees Blues fans heading to Huddersfield for this afternoon's game. Up the M6 is looking okay to the Croft interchange and then on to the M62. Baggies fans are going to West London for their match against QPR. Down the M40, no delays reported. The M25, M4 also looking all right so far this morning. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
This Saturday, we're live from Loftus Road for FM commentary of Queen's Park Rangers versus West Bromwich Albion.
Huddersfield versus Blues and Wolves Brighton are live on DAB.
Well, if you keep playing well and put on a performance, then things do change for you.
Plus, all the goals and updates from Villa, Manchester United and Sheffield United against Walsall.
Benteke, he's back on the score sheet.
Join me, Daz Hale, for all the build-up this Saturday from 12.
BBC WM
95.6.
Hey, we're going to talk about cyber terrorism in a bit. Well, yeah, what's it got to do with me? Well, it kind of has moved into our lives in as much as it's dictating what films we can and we can't watch anymore. So we'll get to that in a bit. I want to speak to Neville first, though. Morning, Neville.
Good morning, sir.
Neville, what would you like to say, boss?
Yes. I've listened to your program all the time, so I'm used to your voice. I think people get confused with class distinction and prejudice.
Yeah.
And the word equality, which hardly exists. In some areas you go, people got so many names, particularly among the, I would say, the semi-literate, whatever, that you have to say otherwise known as such a name. And they don't fight about it. But some people just like to make a fuss about everything. That's my opinion on name calling.
Neville, I am making up from your voice that you are a black gentleman.
Of course I am.
Are you offended by the N-word?
Well, I'm not offended. It hard depends on who used it and what terms. If they said F off you nigger, then I'll be very upset. And if there was in a conversation and say, well, people was called niggers at one time.
Hey, again, I've just got... let's just not use that word, because some people will get upset, Neville, but thank you. Apologies to anyone offended, yeah.
At the time, they were determined as so and so and so in a conversation, and I wouldn't get upset about it. But if it's been said in an abusive way, then you could understand that the person is like that. But the hardest thing about it is, class distinction exists in every society, and some people use class distinction as prejudice because the word equality...
But there's a difference between class and race, isn't there?
I agree, but the problem is that it happens among whites and blacks, the class distinction thing, and it happens also in the terms of prejudice. But most people, as I said, get confused because of the word equality that is established. You shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't do the other. Justice in justice. Some people deserve what they get, some people don't. I mean, equality doesn't really exist because I'm not sure I could do your job. And there's many people who couldn't do it because they just wouldn't manage. So therefore, people...
But then that's not equality. You not being able to do my job, that's not equality. That's simply you have a different skill set to me. I can sit on my backside for 3 hours and talk rubbish and press the right buttons to get people to call in. You've got... I don't know what you do for a living, but I'm sure I would imagine doing what you do. I would struggle doing what you do.
Quite possible, but that's where I bring the class distinction in. Some people can do things, and when they are in certain position where they are in demand or in command, they use that as an opportunity to the people who are the subordinates. and it is sometimes this crime as prejudice.
Neville, listen, it's good to talk to you. I appreciate your call. The class thing confused me slightly. We'll take more of your calls on that. 03453 009956.
Iain Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Now, cyber terrorism. It's kind of one of those things, it's not really going to... We all imagine it to be like War Games with Matthew Broderick, where he hacks into the Pentagon. It doesn't really affect us. Well, it has affected us this week because of this film, The Interview. Should Sony show The Interview? The company has denied caving into threats from hackers when it pulled the cinema release of a film that mocks the North Korean leader. The studio says it still wants to release The Interview, but it's a good film, isn't it, War Games? And is looking into doing so on other platforms. Well, what does that mean? The reason they're not showing, no one wants to risk screening it. The US President, Barack Obama, says he thinks Sony made a mistake withdrawing the film a week before its release. I'm joined now by Professor Mike Jackson from Birmingham City University, a cybersecurity expert. Morning, Mike.
Good morning.
First of all, do you buy this narrative that it's the Koreans, North Koreans, who hacked into Sony and have released all this, in inverted commas, damning information and all of these threats?
Well, I think the technical evidence was inconclusive. There was the indication that they were using servers that Koreans have been known to use in the past. There was an indication that the code that was used was produced using Korean-based software. There was also the fact that some of the methods used were similar to other Korean methods, but I think that was inconclusive. And I think the FBI, at the beginning this week, weren't sure that it definitely was Korea, but now we've had this definite statement from the Americans, and you wonder whether they've actually got some espionage information alongside of the technical information, which confirms that yes, this is Korea.
I tell you what I found interesting about this whole case is when the Edward Snowden documents were leaked, relating to spying and all of that kind of thing, very few American newspapers published the information. They saw it as stolen information. They saw it as dangerous information. They refused to publish it. All of the emails from Sony, even though it's been stolen and hacked, they're printing all of it, aren't they? Why is it so different for this?
I guess, at the end of the day, Sony's not actually an American company, so there is that
True,
side to it. They're not seeing it as being a threat necessarily at the Sony stage to America. But of course, once this issue about we're going to carry out an attack on a cinema became, then it becomes an American threat, and then they begin to take a different stance on it.
Was Sony right to pull the film?
I don't think Sony had any choice. They could have said, we'll go ahead with the film. Nobody, I think, in America would have actually shown it. The issue was, the concerns that they have after 9/11. I think the American on the street is not wanting to be involved in that sort of situation. If a cinema is showing that film, first of all, they wouldn't go to it. Secondly, they wouldn't go to any other film that was showing in that cinema because of the danger of the attack spilling over. And there would have been empty cinemas if that film had been released.
But Americans
think Sony really had an option.
Americans are so, into their freedom and their liberty, and particularly after 9/11, of standing up and confronting terrorism. Surely they should have been presented with the choice of sticking two fingers up to terrorists.
They might have been presented with a choice, but it wasn't Sony that would be presented with the choice. It would have been individual cinemas. And I think Sony was getting the indication that the cinemas were not prepared to risk having the film shown in their premises, and therefore they had no choice but to say, well, let's just call it a day on the release and look at some other way of releasing it. Now, they are definitely saying that they are going to release that film in some format or other. We don't know whether it's going to be online. We don't know it's going to be via DVD. But they have committed to do that. So in some ways, the freedom aspect of, they're trying to thwart the release of the film isn't going to work. So,
and boy, oh boy, isn't it going to sell in its bucket loads? Apparently it's quite a mediocre film.
It's going to sell really well. It's going to be a wonderful sell for them because everybody will now want to see it. You know, it sounded to me, having listened to the clips, that it was not going to be, shall we say, an Oscar-winning film, but it's maybe a bestseller now.
I was reading in the paper this week, some people saying this is that America has lost the first battle in World War III, or the first proper cyber battle, because they've bowed down, or at least Sony has bowed down to the demands of cyber terrorists.
I guess what the issue was here is it's not the cyber threat. I mean, Sony lost a whole chunk of money on this one. America, I think, had to bow down to the problem that the guys who'd done the cyber war thing were then saying that there would be some sort of physical attempt at, killing or maiming people who went to cinemas, which is different from the cyber war thing. Now, I suspect the Americans know that there actually wasn't much chance of that, and that the threats were fairly empty. However, the public, or the public as represented by the cinema owners, probably has capitulated a bit, but it's not exactly a cyber threat they've given into. It was a threat of actual physical violence that was the concern.
Threat. How has North Korea, or whoever the hackers are, how have they done this? Because one would imagine that Sony, being such a huge corporation, would have some of the hottest online security available.
Sony have been criticised for some of the mistakes they made, but I think most of the cyber security community are saying, well, aside from banks, etc., most companies would be open to the sort of sophisticated attacks that have been happening at Sony. Now, the hackers could get in. Whether they could then do anything having got in, perhaps most companies would actually be able to stop them earlier. But you could basically say that most companies will have been hacked in the same way that Sony has. Sony was slightly dozy to it in that they let it go further than it should have done. But most companies will be vulnerable in the same way that Sony were.
I'm just reading now. I'm just on Twitter, and there's a BBC story. It's literally popped up in the last 2 minutes that North Korea says it's got nothing to do with the attack, and they're calling for a joint investigation with the US into the Sony hack, saying it can prove it has nothing to do with it. That's if that's true, that's pretty unique, isn't it, for North Korea to want to do something with the States like this?
And I think, with all of these hacks, though, it is actually very difficult to show a link between the actual hackers and the government that's paying for the hack. What happened? Almost certainly, if the investigation goes forward, we'll find that wherever the hackers were based, it wasn't North Korea. There might have been money flying by through nefarious channels in order to pay for that hack, but it won't have been actually people based in North Korea. The other thing is that, of course, there's a great advantage to North Korea to say that, because essentially, as I said earlier, what could have actually convinced the Americans that this is a North Korean hack is that they have other espionage evidence to confirm it. Now, if there is a joint investigation, then of course the North Koreans will become aware of where the United States is getting their additional information from, and therefore they will be in a rather more stronger position than they were before the hack started.
Everyone's so devious. Finally, Mike, listen, if Sony can get hacked, then we're all screwed, aren't we? Then my little Mac and my laptop, they're open to attack, surely.
Well, definitely.
And McAfee isn't going to stop that, is it?
Things against my physical firewall, I was seeing people trying to attack my machine time and time again. And there's a whole load of opportunist attacks made. But the good thing is that probably you and I are not important enough for them to actually bother with once they've actually hacked in. We are not the sort of people that are liable to be in danger. It is more likely to be large corporations and government bodies where the most of the effort is put against.
Mike, listen, fascinating stuff. Really good to talk to you. Thank you so much. This is a story that's just fascinated me the last week. It's Professor Mike Jackson from Birmingham City University, cybersecurity expert. He's good. I like people like that. Yeah, quite geeky people that explain things in a way that even an idiot like I can understand. You can give us a call on that. I'm not really sure what we'd say about it. I mean, I guess the question is, were Sony right to pull the film? I mean, the cinema's saying, the argument that cinemas weren't going to show it anymore, there would have been 100 or 200 independent cinemas in the States that would have shown this, wouldn't there? There would have been a few that said, I tell you what, Sony, we'll show it. We're only a 200-seater, but we'll show it. We'll show those terrorists. Your thoughts on that, please. 03453 00 9956.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM
95.6.
Right. I've got the top 10 guide, top 10 list of the most exciting places in the world to visit in 2015. A lot of them I've not heard of, and one of them's Birmingham. So at number 9... Yangon in Myanmar. I don't know. I've heard of Myanmar. I don't know where it is. Is that near Vietnam? I'm kind of guessing. I don't even know where Vietnam is now I've said that out loud. Number 9, Birmingham. Number 9 is Birmingham. Please, you have to call... No one's called in to explain how this is at all possible. Maybe you think it's a bit of a joke, as I do. I don't get it. 03453 00 9956. Number 8 is Salta in Argentina. Number 7, Malcolm, get this. Let's see if you can do this. Number 7, Malcolm, is Belgrade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never been there, but I know they do a lot of filming there because it looks like Paris of the 50s. So if there's any film of Paris they're doing of the 50s, they do it there.
Is that true?
Yes, and they used Prague the same. For the Meg Race series, they did a lot in Prague.
I know they use Montreal in Canada to look like New York.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that Belgrade looked like Paris in the 50s.
Yes.
So that's 10, 9,
well, that's
8,
what
7.
I've read in the different magazines.
OK, number 6 is Wellington in New Zealand. That's supposed to be amazing. Number 5 is Nizwa in the Oman. Oh, man alive. Number 4 is Germany, Hamburg. 3, New Orleans. Number 2, here's one, Malaga in Spain. You ever been to Malaga, Malcolm?
No, I've been there. No.
I've been there. It's a bit of a dump.
Yes, that's how I've been told.
And number 1, we had a good go at it. At number 1 is Johannesburg.
Never been there neither.
No. Have you ever been anywhere, Malcolm?
I went, what it is about, what I called in about, you know, different names for people of nationalities and everything.
Yes.
Thursday, I was on the boat on Loch Ness. I'd gone up for a short break holiday, you know.
To Loch Ness? I bet it was chilly up there.
Well, it wasn't, no, it was quite warm, but it was heavy mist and foggy, you know, heavy drizzle. But I was on the boat, and two what I thought was Japanese girls.
Oh, yeah.
I started talking to them. And I took their photograph with and the boat and everything for them. And I says, what part of Japan do you come from? Oh, I took really offence at that. Yeah. We're not NIPS, where they put the name, you know.
Yeah.
But it says, we're from China. We want nothing to do with the NIPS.
Oh, the Chinese and the Japanese hate themselves.
I know, yes. Well, I said, I'm sorry. He said, no, he said, everybody thinks we're
hate each other,
Japanese,
not themselves.
But we're Chinese.
Yes, they hate each other, yeah.
So, I mean, I nearly put my foot in it straight about there. But
the Japanese refer to themselves, they don't refer to themselves as that, they refer to, isn't it funny? They refer to themselves as Nippons.
Yes, Nipponese,
and it's a real kind of, you know, if you're at a sports event or a pop concert in Japan, they'll be chanting Nippon. So they don't say Nippon, they say Nihon. Nihon, Nihon, Nihon. Yeah. But yeah, the Chinese and the Japanese hate each other.
But I say, we went over this, it was quite warm, 8 degrees, 9 degrees when we was up there. A bit of heavy drizzle, and we went all over the place for this fantastic little break it was. Did
you see her?
Well, this I tell you what, on the boat, on the boat of the side window, is Nessie in all its glory.
Yeah,
right?
a drawing.
So, like a stamp, like a transfer. Yeah. So what we've done is through the window of the boat, inside the boat, took a photograph of that and said, there he is. Look, he came and saw us.
Oh, so but you didn't see the real thing?
No. Apparently,
It doesn't exist.
He's been naughty, and Santa's told him to go down to the very bottom of the lake.
Oh, you're so potty. Is there anything to do at Loch Ness? I've heard it's beautiful, but a little bit dull.
Well, I really enjoyed it. Just a fantastic scenery. What made it, when we was on our way there, the coach driver, given a little commentary of the different views, just, hang on, slow down, said, look, to your right. And to your right, on an outcrop of the road, was a big, massive stag with all his horns in a full glory and he's baying.
Yeah.
As though to say, get off my land.
Get off my land! Listen, Malcolm, thank you very much indeed. Ta-ta. Excellent weather report, huh? 03453 009956. Wouldn't it be nice if the Loch Ness Monster was real? It isn't. Of course it isn't. It's a load of old bunkum, isn't it? I used to believe in all of this stuff. Loch Ness Monsters, ghosts. I do still believe in aliens. I think that has to be a definite, doesn't it? Birmingham is number 9. Just reading on. The Rough Guide notes that with Birmingham New Street Station reopening in 2015, this year is the ideal time to make the trip. Let's see what else it says about Birmingham. Rough Guide selected Birmingham in its annual list for embracing its industrial heritage. Boring? Industrial heritage is boring, isn't it? Lottie Gross from Rough Guide says, every year, Rough Guide's editors and authors get together to compile a list of destinations they think will be best to visit in the next 12 months. And we always throw a rubbish one in so it gets some press coverage. I made that last bit up. But I kind of get the idea that's what they're doing. 03453 009956. Get this, Martin. Martin, you there? Oh,
yeah, I'm still here, yeah.
Martin, get this. Have a listen to this, right? From the vibrant bullring markets to the fashionable creative quarter in Digbeth, Birmingham makes a worthy entry in the 2015 list for its cultural variety, excellent shopping and a buzzing live music scene that's among the best in the UK. I'm sorry, but having a really good Marks and Spencer's next to an Ann Summers just opposite from a 3 store, that doesn't make it an exciting and unique place. Does it, Martin?
Yeah, I agree.
You can't do it. You lot can't do it here. This is my mission in 2015, Martin, is to make sure that you can all do spontaneous conversations, OK?
OK. All right.
OK. All right, then. What you got for us, Martin?
Okay, I just want to basically talk about the N-word, yeah? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what I find offensive to me is when people like to compare other words and put it the same as the N-word. Like, for example, the F-word, being fat, 4 eyes. Somebody's trying to compare the ginger to the N-word. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why
does that offend you?
That offends me because they are trivial things, yeah? Them people haven't had a history of over 400 years of being slaves, do you know what I mean, right? So, to me, to use that as a comparison as if it's the same, that's an insult, do you know what I mean?
Their argument will be, and I'm really hoping we get to speak to a ginger person before midday, their argument would be that they do suffer daily bullying and taunts, and it's kind of the last group of people that we can openly mock and point at.
Being bullied is one thing, yeah, right? Yeah. Black people are through slavery. A lot of the women were raped, yeah. A lot of the men were murdered, yeah.
Yes.
Even after slavery, for history, by the Ku Klux Klan in America, black people were hanged on a tree and burnt alive just because of the colour of their skin and being called the N-word. Do you know what I mean? So when people today start saying about, oh, somebody's calling me ginger, that is trivial because there's not a history. Well,
it's not trivial to them, is it?
It's not true.
And I get what you're saying. I'm not in any way demeaning, and we all know the horrific history that people have had to face. But
they can't compare the two.
No, and I don't know if they
ginger people being murdered because of their hair colour.
But are you saying that they have? Are you saying, Martin, that they have no right then to complain about being bullied for being ginger?
I'm not saying that got no right, but they shouldn't compare the two as if it's the same. Do you know what I mean? It's like a woman got pinched on her bottom, right? Treating that exactly the same as a woman who's been raped. The two are not the same. Do you know what I mean? Right? They both are bad, but they're not the same. And you can't compare somebody who's being bullied at school, being called or a ginger, as the same as people who's been dehumanized. Because that's what happened to black people. They were treated less than human beings. Do you know what I mean? And treated worse than a dog.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody is saying that the abuse that ginger people get is the equivalent of being hanged by the Ku Klux Klan. Of course they're not. But there are.
They shouldn't put it the same thing, because people are putting the word, the N word, the F word, the P word, and the ginger.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure what the F word is. I don't think I'm particularly want to. No. Four eyes. Okay.
Yeah.
You can.
Things are trivial.
Phew.
I mean, there's not a history of people who wearing glasses are being hanged just because they're wearing glasses.
They're not trivial to the people that are facing that bullying, are they?
Yeah, but they shouldn't put it in the same category as what I said, like a woman who got pinched in her bottom, as the same as somebody who's just been raped. Do you know what I mean?
Martin, stay there. I want to bring Donna Strachan into the conversation. Morning, Donna.
Hello.
You run a group called... What's your group called?
I have a business called Ingenious.
Right. And what's that for? What does that do?
It's basically reclaiming the word ginger as a positive thing, and I create these little ginger Scottish animals that represent different positive qualities of being ginger. And it's basically to make sure that, people that have been bullied before can feel sort of good about the ginger hair, and also that the next generation don't have the same sort of hang-ups as the previous one did.
What kind of bullying do ginger people have to face?
I still get called ginger on the street sometimes, like a group of young people like, hey, ginger, so it still does happen. It's different for me. I'm Australian, so I probably grew up with slightly different words than in Scotland. But every ginger person I know has been teased in childhood.
We've had some people on the emails, Donna, comparing the use of the N-word and the abuse that black people face with the abuse that ginger people face. Martin is strongly disagreeing that should be acceptable. What do you think? Are the two comparable?
It is different.
What did you just say? It should be acceptable. What did you say? I said.
Sorry?
What did you just say? I said that ginger should be called acceptable. I didn't
say that. Martin, I didn't say that. I said that you're saying that they shouldn't be. They're not comparable.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I don't think they are comparable, because I think the N-word has got a lot more, history behind it, and a lot of, a lot more things that are behind that word than ginger. Ginger, it is a problem for people that have been called that. A lot of people have been bullied for it. But I think it is a different thing.
Is it the last kind of that group that we can openly mock, Donna? Because people do make jokes about ginger people. People do say to pregnant people, "Oh, I bet you hope it's not a ginger," and no one seems to raise an eyebrow, do they?
Yeah, well, I don't think that's okay. I think there's a difference between the N-word and the G-word, but But in the case of that, I don't think that's okay. I mean, it's probably one of the last things that you're born with that you're still teased about that's kind of vaguely accepted. And you do hear stuff still, like people say, "Oh, don't worry, they're ginger. Don't worry, you can cut their hair. Don't worry, he's a boy ginger. You can shave their head. So." It's still around as a negative thing, which is bizarre to a lot of people, because a lot of people just don't, they think ginger hair's beautiful and they don't get it. But that sort of old-fashioned thing does still exist where.
I'm going to let me listen. This show is all about being honest and telling the truth. So I'm going to put my cards on the table, Donna. When we had our first boy, nearly 5 years ago, me and my wife did say, "Oh no, what if he's a ginger? What are we going to do? Will we still love him?" Now, obviously, I know, and I'm saying this just to be honest with you. Of course, we would have still loved him, and he would have still been, our very precious son. But I think there are lots of people that kind of have that conversation with their tongues in their cheek, but they still say it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it does still exist. I'm not sure what the route is to challenging that, but I think the Ginger Pride movement in the UK
Ginger Pride.
Is a lot of. Yeah, Ginger Pride movement in the UK.
Yeah.
There's a Redhead UK Day here now. Happens in June.
June, okay.
Yeah, but, it's about more reclaiming that word and feeling positive about it rather than sort of going down a really big sort of let's fight the system agenda. It's like, let's just turn it around and reclaim that word, just like, I guess, gay was reclaimed and other words were reclaimed. Rather than having that big fight on your hands, you have a celebration and a joyous thing on your hands rather than that social fight that takes a long time,
Donna, it's really good to talk to you. Thank you for your time. Martin, thank you for your call as well. Donna Strachan runs a campaign group in Gingerness, or an organisation. We did have that conversation. What if he's a ginger? Are we going to love him? Of course we would have loved him. But there was a tiny part that we were hoping it wouldn't be a ginger baby. You've had that conversation as well, haven't you? If you're expecting kids, haven't you? Be honest. 03453 00 9956. BBC WM 95.6. Here's Liz with the travel.
Ian, thank you. Inbound to the A38 Bristol Road around Selly Oak is looking a bit busy near to Selly Oak Triangle and heading towards Priory Road and the Edgbaston direction. Just seems to be volume of traffic. Similarly, on Hagley Road, the A456 inbound as you head past Monument Road and towards Five Ways Island. There's probably a bit of shopping traffic about now and starting to build. In Wolverhampton, it's not looking too bad. Traffic seems to be moving okay along the A454, the Black Country route, and heading towards the Ring Road around town. That's all looking okay. Your match day travel sees Baggies fans off to QPR for this afternoon's game. Down the M40, no delays or incidents reported. The M25 is looking a little congested around the M4 near to Heathrow Airport, but generally you should have a clear run. Blues fans going to Huddersfield via the M6. Again, that's looking all right so far. The M62 from the Croft interchange and heading in that direction, also pretty clear. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 0022 88.
Hi, what's your name, darling?
My name is Susan Boyle.
I'm Graham Torrington. Join me this Christmas as I spend an hour in conversation with chart-topping singer Susan Boyle as she talks about her life.
There is pressure. I mean, I can't really tell lies about that. But at the same time, it's a great honour.
Her faith.
I couldn't do what I'm doing without it, because I like to feel we've got a channel or somebody there you can speak to.
And her music.
It feels as if I've come a long ways. I feel as if I've graduated in a course some way.
So join me, Graham Torrington, for an hour with Susan Boyle.
Join me this Christmas.
Christmas Day at 4 on BBC WM 95.6.
That was stunning. An incredible performance.
I like Birmingham, but key Birmingham attractions such as the Custard Factory, the Bullring Shopping Centre, it's a brilliant shopping centre, but you can't, as a world destination, say, well, we've got a Next and a Gap. That's not... Surely when you travel the world to exotic places, you want to get away from Boots and Tesco and Costa, don't you? You want to go to places that says, yeah, we don't have a Starbucks here. Come and join us. You can't say a shopping centre makes an attractive world destination. Oh, dearie dee. In 2012, of course it was, I'd forgotten, in 2012, Birmingham was named number 19 in the New York Times 45 places to go. I just don't... I don't get it. And I'm guessing from the lack of calls, either you don't get it or you're all out enjoying Birmingham's exotic world status. It's number 9 in the list of cities that you must go to in the Rough Guide 2015. Birmingham? It's got a great record. It's got a couple of great record shops. And it's nice and clean. What else is there, really, that makes it such a... We're talking about the world here. That makes it such a world-class destination. 03453 009956. Boy, oh boy, we got a lot of calls this morning. I've hardly touched any of the stuff I want to talk about Strictly at some point. Are you a fan of Strictly, Diane, in Wolverhampton?
Not really, no.
It's... The blandest Strictly final in the world.
The people who get through to the final, not always the best dancers, at least I don't think so.
Well, I think all of these have had professional dancing lessons. We've got Simon Webb, who used to be in the boy band Blue, who used to do a lot of dancing. We've got Caroline. They're all kind of young, trendy people. There's no comedy old idiots. Caroline Flack, who is young and beautiful and is a dancer. Frankie, who is my favourite Saturday and is young and beautiful and is a trained dancer. And Mark Wright from The Only Way is Essex, who is young and, guess what, beautiful. It's just like looking at 4 waxworks dancing. I can't think of anything duller. Are you going to be watching it, Diane?
No.
Did you watch The X Factor last week?
No.
Will you be watching Juliet Bravo tonight?
Probably.
Yeah, I like a bit of Juliet Bravo. Yeah, it's not been on for 20 years, but... Diane, what would you like to say?
Well, the attraction of Birmingham, it's the diversity of the population.
Right.
I read a letter to the editor in one of the newspapers earlier on this week, and they said you can always tell a true Brummie because he wears a shamrock in his turban.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. But again, Diane, that's not going to... You know, there are loads of places around the world that are as culturally diverse as Birmingham. It doesn't mean you necessarily want to go there.
No, but it's the centre of England.
It's like Slough. I grew up in Slough. Slough's incredibly culturally diversive. I don't want to go there.
Well, it's one of the attractions of Birmingham, anyway.
Well, okay. Name me one other.
The museum.
I've not been to the museum. Any good?
It is. It's very good.
But London's got the Natural History Museum and the Science Museum next door to each other.
Yes, okay. So Birmingham's got a decent museum, and we have some of the exhibitions that move from London.
That's a great selling point. We've got some of the things that used to be in London.
Yes, but not everybody can travel to London, so it moves to Birmingham, which is central, as I say, to England.
Yeah.
More people have got access to it.
But if you're coming from Japan or Russia or America, it would be easier to get to London, wouldn't it? So you would go to London.
Yes, but they don't want to stay in London.
I'm not... Listen,
and
my team is telling me Cadbury World.
When Cadbury's first opened their factory, you could actually go into the factory, the ladies used to be working, and you walked around. Now it's an actual, supposedly, attraction. Half
Cadbury
the
World.
interest is gone.
Yeah, Cadbury World. I mean, really? That's the best that we have to offer? What? Let's look at cadburyworld.co.uk and let's see what's going there. Have you ever been there?
Yes, I have.
What? Okay, and what happens there?
I
You
say
look at
the
chocolate.
interest has really gone out of it. I remember going to Cadbury's when you walked around the factory and you saw them making the boxes that actually put the chocolates in, things
Here we
like
go.
that.
Welcome to
You don't
Cadbury
think-
World. Snow White and the Chuckle Beans. Oh, gosh. Tickets must be booked to guarantee entry. Plan your visit. Let's have a look. We'll plan our visit. So you and I are going to go, Diane. We're going to go on.
Okay.
We're going to go on a day trip to Cadbury World.
Yes.
Let's see what the fun things we could do. You can
Yes,
also find
okay,
information
carry
about
on.
the world's biggest Cadbury shop and the Cadbury Cafe. Oh, I mean, it does. I don't quite Hang on a second. I think we've got. Who's this? Mark.
Yeah.
You ever been to Cadbury World?
Yes.
What happens there?
It's a good view for children, basically. I wouldn't say that it's something that adults particularly wish to go to, but...
But adults would have to take them.
Yeah. But adults who are good parents will happily take their children to places.
Well, yeah. But I wouldn't necessarily take my kids to a chocolate factory. It's particularly not what it costs for 4-year-olds. 11 quid? I'm all right, thanks. I'll just take them to the corner shop and buy them a Mars bar.
Well, it's your choice, isn't it?
It certainly is, Mark. I'm feeling beef in your voice, Mark. What do you want to say?
Well,
I'm feeling that somebody who is not a Brummie, but seems to be quite happy to come to Birmingham to earn his money, shouldn't be criticising the city to quite the extent that you seem to wish to.
No, I don't know if you've been listening, Mark. I've not criticised the city at all. I think Birmingham is wonderful. I love it. I was one of those people that used to knock it, and now I think it's fantastic. The people are wonderful. The food is incredible. And, by the way, Swordfish Records is one of the best record shops I've ever been to. I don't think it's worthy of being in the top 10 of the cities you must visit in 2015.
No, it probably isn't.
Well, that's the point I've been saying all morning, Mark, so you've not been listening properly.
Well, I think what you try and do is literally try and be controversial. You try and rub people up the wrong way. I think if there was a poll as to who were the top 10 sort of DJs who people don't want to listen to, you'd be quite high up on the list.
That's really nice to know, Mark, but irrelevant to this, you've heard something I've not said. I've not Birmingham at all. I've been bigging Birmingham up. I love it. I love Birmingham. I just said the point I've been saying, and I'm really hoping you hear it this time, is it shouldn't be number 9 in the top 10 list of cities that you should visit in the world.
I've listened to quite a bit of what you've said.
You've not obviously heard it, mate.
And one of the things that you said is, why would people want to shop in a place where you've got Ann Summers sort of next to Marks and Spencer's, next to a free shop?
No, I didn't say that, Mark.
Yes, you did. I suggest you listen to what was said.
Mark, I'm going to let you go because you've obviously got a chip on your shoulder and it's coming from completely the wrong place. I didn't say that at all. What I said was, it's not a selling point that they've got a Marks and Spencer's and Ann Summers and a Three Shop, because every city in the country has got one of those. Mark, you've got beef and it's completely misplaced. Please don't think for one second I'm knocking Birmingham. I love it. I love it. I think it's a great city, and I am constantly extolling the virtues of Birmingham. People say, oh, you work in Birmingham. Oh, God. I say, no. You've got it all wrong. Birmingham is awesome. Everything in Birmingham is awesome, to misquote the Lego song. It's a great place. Oh, you got great food. I love the library. I love it. I love the whole place. It's just not in the top. It shouldn't be in the top 10 list of cities that you need to visit in the world. That's it, Mark. So please, if I didn't make it clear enough that I think Birmingham is a wonderful city, then I apologise. I hope that you've got it clear enough now. 03453 009956. We got Paula, we got Nick, we got Paula, we got Nick. Let's go to Paula. Morning, Paula. Paula? Paul. Sorry, Paul. Paul, I've written down a Paula. I've changed your gender in the space of one letter. Morning, Paul.
Morning. How are you?
I'm sorry. Can I call you? Can I call you Paula? Would that be okay?
You know what? Listen, Iain, you can call me what you like. I don't really care. I know.
All right, Doris.
I know you like winding people up, and I love you for it. But there you go.
Bless you, brother. What you got for us?
Yeah. Now, listen. I'll tell you what it is. I was listening to a young man there earlier who was getting easily offended. I was brought up in a community. Now, the other thing is, a long time ago, I was ginger. When I say ginger, I was proper Felicia Beacon ginger.
Yeah.
You know, carrot top, everything. Now, he was saying, obviously, he gets offended by the N-word and this, that, and the other. And I was brought up in Spark Hill. Fantastic area. As a kid, it was brilliant. Very, very multicultural. My best friend in the world, who sadly passed away, was black. We were closer than brothers. Now, when I listened to this guy who was getting easily offended about the N-word.
It was Martin. Martin, yeah.
Martin, okay. So, and it sort of, I've got a lot of my black friends would probably be screaming at the radio now because they're saying, why is this person coming on and getting easily offended, this and the other. I'm from a generation where we watch programs like Love Thy Neighbour and, you know, and Alf Garnett and this and the other. Now, all my black friends all loved those television programs. And they said, who on earth got offended? Now, they believe, and I believe, that somebody got offended on their behalf. Don't know who it was, but they obviously got offended on their behalf. And it was probably some middle-class white person. But when this guy goes on about the N-word, what really grates me is that when you've got a lot of the young black youth of today who are greeting each other with the N-word and then using it in songs and in rap records and this, that and the other, and they're almost promoting it, but if a white person uses that towards them, it's then seen as offensive and derogatory.
Paul, I've got to end it there. It's a great point. You managed to squeeze it in. Thank you very much. I think the main problem with Love Thy Neighbour and Alf Garnett, the main problem I had was they weren't very funny. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself this morning. I hope you are as well. 03453 009956 is the phone number. We'll talk more about offensive words and Birmingham being number 9 in the must-go-to cities.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's just gone 11 o'clock. Let's get the news now. Here's Nicole Pullman.
A 28-year-old man has handed himself into police in Liverpool, investigating the murder of an off-duty police officer. PC Neil Doyle was killed in the early hours of yesterday morning after a night out in Liverpool city centre with some colleagues. Our correspondent Ed Thomas is in Liverpool.
Merseyside police say this was an unprovoked, vicious attack, but what is disturbing most of all is that police suspect that this group of off-duty officers were recognised as police officers, and that could have been one motive for the attack.
President Obama has accused Sony Pictures of caving into pressure from North Korea by cancelling the release of a film that mocks the country's leader. He said it was clear that North Korea had carried out a damaging cyber attack that exposed much of Sony's confidential information, but he said withdrawing the film was a mistake.
We cannot have a society in which some dictator someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States. Because if somebody is able to intimidate folks out of releasing a satirical movie, imagine what they start doing when they see a documentary that they don't like or news reports that they don't like.
West Midlands Ambulance Service says it needs to recruit hundreds more new paramedics. The recruitment reflects how the service has had to expand to cope with more and more calls. Mark Ratley is from the ambulance service.
300 is a huge number of jobs. It's reflecting in the amount of work we are facing on an ongoing basis. And we are very much hoping your listeners may take this opportunity to either change their career or develop their career with us at West Midlands Ambulance Service.
The West Bromwich Albion head coach Alan Irvine says his players have got to be ready to cope with the intensity of the QPR team and their fans at Loftus Road this afternoon. The whole game is live here on BBC WM 95.6, with the hosts having won all 14 of their points so far at home. And Irvine says he can understand why that's the case.
They're very good at home just now, and the crowd play a big part in that. They're extremely noisy. They're obviously right on top of the players, as you know, at Loftus Road, and they play at a tempo and intensity that you've got to be able to cope with at the beginning of the game in particular.
Also in the Premier League, Villa host Man United, and we'll have live reports from Villa Park. In the Championship, Blues travel to Huddersfield, and we'll have that match live on DAB in the Birmingham area. You can hear Wolves' home game with Brighton on DAB in the Black Country. Finally, in League One today, Walsall travel to Sheffield United. A mainly dry, fine day today with winter sunshine, feeling cold though. There's a blustery wind and the temperature's only going up to 8 Celsius, 46 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
So, offensive words. Do ginger people have the right to be offended? The C word for Chinese, the N word for black people, all of this and more. We're also, and I'm not knocking Birmingham in the slightest. I cannot stress how great I think it is. Right? I think it's a brilliant city. It shouldn't be number 9 in the top 10 list of places that you have to go to in 2015. This is in the whole world. The whole world! Crazy! And I'm still struck by how dull Strictly looks. 03453 00 9956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 00
9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
No, it's the handy little ISDN computer system I have here. Bleeps every top of the hour. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Simon Webb, the show's great survivor, Strictly, has found himself in the bottom 2 3 times and has still made it all the way to the final. And as the underdog of the show, blues singer Simon, 37, admits dancing has been his lifeline over the past 3 months. He says, "I can't believe my eyes. I'm here. I'm still very shocked. I'm so grateful." Flipping, they're making it sound like they've gone to war or something. Caroline Flack, preparing for the final, has turned Caroline into a mad mess because of nerves and non-stop training. What about the thousands of pounds you're earning? And the fact that you'll all probably get TV shows off the back of this. She says, "I'm getting 4 hours sleep a night. I'm so tired. But it's been an exciting week." I'm a little bit jealous, Producer Joe, yeah. A little bit. Training is every day. They wouldn't let me go on Strictly because I'm too good at dancing and it wouldn't be a fair fight. I'm starting to get cabin fever. I think I'm losing the plot, says Caroline Flack. Doesn't put her age in. I've even started talking to myself on the way to training. I'm always talking to myself. I think I lost the plot years ago. I hope Frankie from the Saturdays wins because I've got a crush on her. Got a problem? Have you got a problem with that, Pearl? Have you?
No,
Pearl?
I haven't got a problem.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Who do you want to win Strictly?
The best dancer.
Oh, look at you. You're like Kofi Annan. You are like a diplomat. I like that. Well done, Pearl.
Yeah, the best dancer.
The best dancer.
And the best dancer will win.
Hey, do we know what's on telly on Christmas Day yet?
I'm not sure yet. And
let me have a look.
I won't be spending Christmas at my home.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm going to one of my daughter.
Oh, well, that'll be nice. Is she cooking the dinner?
Yeah, she's doing all. She let me sit down. She said I'm a guest.
Oh. Is she a good cook, Pearl?
Yeah, she's a good cook.
She learnt well from her mum?
She learned well from her mom.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Now then, Ian, I call you because
there's a 2-hour episode of Downton Abbey.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favourites.
Really?
Yes.
Is that the one that the American man is going to be in?
Possible, yes. This one is special.
George Clooney.
George Clooney, yes. It's a special one. And I like George Clooney as well.
It's all old-fashioned things. Look at this. I know you want to call up and make a serious point. We'll get that in a second.
That's
but
okay.
BBC One, 7:50, Call the Midwife, the old days.
Yes.
BBC Two, Blackadder's Christmas Carol, the old days.
Yes.
ITV, Downton Abbey, the old days.
Yes.
And Channel 4, Alan Carr, Chatty Man, the unfunny days.
And he's so funny as well.
Do you like Alan Carr?
Yes, I do. I like funny things.
You like funny things?
I
don't know what you listen to this show for, then.
My wish was if they put Sound of Music on, because I love that.
Oh. It'll be on at some point. They always show the Sound of Music.
Yes, it's a very old. It's good. It's very good.
Here's something, Pearl. Good. I have never seen the Sound of Music.
Haven't you?
I've never seen it.
Oh.
I've never lived. I've never heard Stairway to Heaven, but that's a different thing altogether.
Yes.
What have you got for us, Pearl? What would you like to say?
Now, what I call you to say, from this morning early, I've been listening to you about racism. You know something? I don't know if it's just in me, but there is no such thing as racism.
Oh, that's odd, because I'm sure I've witnessed it. But go on.
People say that, but to me, we are all one.
Yeah.
Because if I cut myself, it's gonna bleed, and it's gonna bleed blood.
What colour's your blood, Pearl?
It's gonna be red.
Oh, like mine.
Yes, it's gonna be blood. And if you cut yourself, it's going to be blood.
Yeah.
We are all one. Color doesn't make a difference. It's the mind, it's the heart that you have.
Colour shouldn't make a difference, but it does make a difference. It's made a difference in history, and it does make a difference, unfortunately.
It makes a difference in history because history, which I love, and you know this word but and if, there are junctions.
Yes.
And if we keep going on about, to me, race is a thing like and dislike. You dislike some people, what they say. It's like sometimes people say things. I don't hate anybody. I just hate what they say.
But you sound like a nice person, but there are people that you're black, right, Pearl?
I am a black woman.
There are people that hate you.
I know.
Just because you're black. That's racism.
Some people hate me not because I'm black. People hate me because I speak the truth.
Well, as you perceive it, but some people hate you because they might find you irritating. They might not like the way you smell. Some people hate you simply because you're black.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I said. Dislike. They don't like you but it's no race. I don't think so. And I love you, and I love everybody.
And I love you, Pearl.
And I listen to Millie. I listen to everybody. Danny Kelly is my favorite.
Oh, wait, can we stop this? Can we stop this thing where people phone up and say how much they love Danny Kelly? I'm banning, Pearl, I'm banning any references to people saying they love Danny Kelly as their favourite presenter. It's outrageous.
Well, I don't know. It's because I've been listening to Danny Kelly for the last 7-8 years.
Bloody Kelly.
Yes.
Pearl, I'm gonna let you go. Why don't you go off and have a look at your picture of Danny Kelly and get all excited about it. Can we stop people? Can we just vet people phoning up, right, and ask them who their favourite presenter is? And if they say Danny Kelly, can we say, yeah, sorry, we're a bit busy. We're a little bit busy. We haven't got time for you to come on today. Look, you Muppets working on this show, instead of typing out all the lyrics to some Sound of Music song, could you let me know if we've got any callers? Flippin' heck. They're clogging up my messaging service system with the lyrics to whatever that song is from The Sound of Blooming Music, a film that I've never seen, and do you know what? I've got no intention of seeing. Nick's on the line. Good morning, Nick.
Hello, Ian.
I'm working with absolute Muppets today, Nick.
I think so.
Bernie, Andy and Joe, we need, seriously, you better pull up your socks over Christmas and in the new year come back refreshed and on point. Anyway, Nick, what would you like to say?
I could talk about everything you're going on about today, but I originally called in about the C word, which when you first started, you said not that one, the other one, and then my brain was ticking over thinking, what is he on about? Yeah. Well, we've got an expression for it, which is that when we have a Chinese takeaway, we call it the Tenko, and no one's ever been offended by it. And
Tenko was Japanese, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but you could say it's just an expression, and they don't take it serious. And
who don't take it serious?
Well, can I mention the name where we go?
Of the restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's Henry Wong. He's a well-known restaurateur in Birmingham.
But does Henry Wong get
the reference? He's a good friend of ours and our family.
But does he get the reference to Tenko? Does he know what Tenko means? It means the TV series about female prisoner of war camp in Japan.
Yeah, I think so. He likes it. And there's all sorts of people got different things going on and people looking at them and this, that and the other. But you have to have a sense of humour at the end of the day. And laugh about things.
Yeah, maybe he puts a little extra sauce in your food.
Probably.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, let's move away from Mr. Wong for a second and talk in general terms. There are people who are in, it's that word subservient again, because they are in serving positions who kind of feel that they do have to laugh at jokes that aren't particularly funny and could be perceived as being offensive. I'm not saying that
we don't say that word repetitively to him. He just knows we refer to his face as
Tenko. You don't do that.
No, we don't say Tenko to him all the time. It's just once or twice over probably 20 years. But he's never been,
All right, listen, thank you very much for that. We've got to move on. We've got so much to climb. I'm trying to find the... I've written down the numbers wrong. There's a story in one of the papers. I'm sure it's in the... I'm looking in the mirror, that's why. We'll get to Easter eggs in a second, shall we? 11:15. Let's get the travel news on BBC WM 95.6. Here's Liz Saul.
Thanks, Ian. Around Handsworth is looking slow now on Soho Road, and as you make your way into Birmingham, otherwise Hagley Road busy towards Five Ways Island. You'll also find it's looking a bit congested on the Aston Expressway inbound. It's still on the move, but heading towards and through Dartmouth Circus, a slight bit of traffic in the area. Around Dudley is slow on all approaches to the Burnttree traffic lights. That's the A461 junction with Tividale Road. And further along at Dudley Port, the junction with Sedgley Road East, the A457. Your match day travel sees Baggies fans heading to West London for this afternoon's game. At the M40, no reported delays. The M25 also looking fine as you head around the outskirts of the capital and onto the M4. Blues fans are going to Huddersfield. The M6 is so far looking clear with no reported delays. The M62 not looking too bad either as you make your way along there towards Huddersfield. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
BBC WM 95.6 at Christmas.
It's your turn again now, both for congregation and for listeners all around the West Midlands.
Join BBC WM presenters at St Philip's Cathedral in Birmingham. Monday the 22nd of December from 1 for festive carols and readings.
Christmas can remind us of the pleasure of giving to others.
And the glory of the Lord shone around them.
Entry is free. Christmas on BBC WM 95.6.
That'll be me then. 03453 009956. Last 45 minutes of the show. Frida's on the line. Morning, Frida.
Happy Christmas, Ian.
No. It's Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Get it right.
Happy Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, I'll let you
Merry
off.
Christmas. No, don't let me off. I'm letting you off. In fact, I'm not. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Frida, and a big kiss. Woo-hoo, you're completely... Hey, listen, great story in The Sun. This is good news.
Yeah.
Easter eggs are on sale.
Already?
Yes!
Oh, my God.
This is brilliant, isn't it? Fury, jingle
Get
shells.
Over Christmas.
Fury.
Get over Christmas, it hasn't come.
Fury as Easter eggs on sale the week before Christmas. Shops have been blasted for selling Easter eggs and bunnies a week before Christmas. The Church of England said the sale of the chocolate treats was distasteful.
Yeah.
The Church of England that's got its finger on its pulse that has finally, after 500 years of existence, allowed women to become bishops. I think this is great news.
Oh, how can it be great news but bringing the Easter eggs just before the Christmas? But then I don't want to spoil Christmas because half of it's man-made anyway, or money-making.
Yeah,
but it's about the children. But are we educating the children really to the right understanding and meaning?
Yeah,
Christmas.
I have educated my boys, Frida, so they know that they had better have bought loads of batteries for Christmas Day, otherwise they'll have a miserable time. They know that. That's a great lesson.
You are.
That's the lesson they need to learn. Always buy batteries.
That is 100% true. Well done. Well done.
Do you know what? I love Christmas, and I felt so un-Christmassy this year. But on Thursday, I took the boys out shopping to buy some presents for their mum and some presents for my mum, their nan. And it's the Christmas spirit started to enter me. And now I'm all up for it, baby. I can't wait for Christmas dinner. That's what we want.
I'm going to laugh at you.
Okay.
You're just so bubbly. You're what makes the show as well, you know. Not just Danny Kelly.
Thank you. Who's better, me or Danny Kelly? And be honest.
On, don't put me... Danny Kelly reminds me of Ed Doolan.
He what?
I can't say his word name now. He reminds me of Ed Doolan.
Oh, and that's a good thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Of course, because they're both excellent presenters.
He's the number one. Ed Doolan is the number one of the show.
Right, so Ed Doolan is number one. Danny Kelly reminds you of Ed Doolan, so Danny Kelly's number two.
Kind of, yeah. But you are just what makes the spirit of the show. Bubbly,
Right. You keep saying the word show, you
cheeky,
mean station.
funny.
But yeah. Are you saying I'm number 3? Flipping heck, mate.
I'll say 2.5.
Oh, flipping heck, mate. What is this? If you all love Danny Kelly so much, why didn't you go and marry him?
Oh, God. I know. He's already married, isn't he?
Yeah, well... yeah.
Oh, well, I don't believe in 4 wives.
What would you like to say, Frida?
What was I going to say is that,
got no idea.
you know, I have gone through this sort of thing with my daughter going through this kind of racism thing, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And what it was is that my daughter was called a name because she was white, the guy was Asian at school, but my daughter got to telling off because she slapped him up the face.
So hang on. So I can't tell from your voice what ethnicity you are or your daughter is. So what is she?
My daughter is English. She's born here.
Right. Yeah.
Right? As what people say, if you're born in England, you are England. If you're
Yes.
born in Australia, you're Australian.
Definitely
but they
English.
don't think about the blood that runs through your body.
Yeah.
We
So
are
okay,
all
what's her
the
family
same.
heritage? But what's her
My
family
mum-
heritage?
Oh, my daughter's. Oh,
Yeah.
my daughter's heritage is I'm Irish, but born
Right.
here.
Yeah.
So through the bloodline, you will say Irish,
Yes.
Welsh, and I think there's a
Right.
bit of Scottish on that side as well.
So, but Celtic, you got the good stuff.
I think
I'm
so.
a
I
bit
don't know.
Scottish, but so hang on. So your daughter got what? She got bullied for being Irish.
No. She was just called a white such and such and such.
Oh,
Yeah?
okay.
In the
Yeah.
classroom, my daughter turned around, slapped him up the face. Yeah,
Oh,
she was the
well,
one
that's-
that got told off from the racism that come to her.
Well, hang on. Well, what
She did
race
not
was the
do
other
it.
fella that called her a white so and so?
He was Asian. I
Okay,
phoned the
right.
police up, and
Oh.
I said, I'm not leaving this school until you get here and you sort this out. This is racism. We have gone through so much racism, right, as a
Yeah.
family, and that's from white family where we lived. They got kicked out in the end because of my 2 boys were they're half Arabic,
Yeah.
and we had racism from a white family. Well, 2 white families, but one was also with a black man.
Do you not
So-
think though that your daughter, but being called a white so and so, obviously unacceptable, but she did whack a fella, and
Well, he was throwing pencils at her.
How old was she?
He hit her in the eye. She was only, I think 12, 13 at that point.
Is there a chance that a 12-year-old boy doesn't know that a white so and so is offensive? Doesn't know
Well,
the power of it. Doesn't know the
There
power
are
of those
people out
words.
there that have to do it because they hear it in the families, or they hear it out on the street, or they hear it on the bus.
I don't know if a
people are
12-year-old.
ignorant that we're all human beings.
Yeah.
Past should be left as past. Bring something better into the children to get on in this country, because them poor children in the countries that are dying, and families, because people will not get on because of religion and because of their colour. It is wrong. We are all human beings, and where is there a really, really bloodied through British person or Asian person, because everybody is related one way or another through their ancestry.
Yep, but Frida, on the note of ancestry, it's probably best to leave it there. Thank you very much for that call. 03453 009956.
Ian Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Let's not forget brothery and mothery and fathery, as well as ancestry as well. 03453 009956. Let's speak to Luke Cameron. He's a fellow. He does a good deed every day. He's on a... Well, let's find out. Luke, listen, it's nice to talk to you. You've been in the papers quite a bit this week. You do a good deed every day. Why are you doing it?
I do indeed. Hello, morning.
Morning.
It's been one of those things where I lost somebody from cancer about a year and a half ago, and it really hit me hard. And then when you go through that personally, I know probably a lot of people listening have battled some really difficult battles, and I saw the palliative care nurses and the volunteers that helped the family, and I just thought there are people out there that do good every single day, and I should be less selfish myself and think about this. So I embarked on a mission in memory of Maura to do a good deed every single day, and I have got 13 left, and I've done one every day this year.
Give us some of the best ones that you've done.
Oh, it's a difficult question. Okay, so I recently gave away the Disney Frozen dolls that you can't get in this country. I had them shipped over from Los Angeles and did a competition on my blog. I have paid for the petrol of somebody behind me at a petrol station. I've bought coffee for people. I've fed the homeless. I delivered 2,500 meals across London with a charity called Fair Share. I mean, I have done and thought of everything that I could do to help as many people as I could across this year. It's been incredible.
And what's going to happen when this year ends? Are you going to carry on doing it more?
Well, the year's not going to end because I won a competition in November of this year with a company called UA. They're a utility consultancy, and I'm now the National Philanthropy Manager, which means I get to travel around all of next year, and every week I am with a different charity helping them however they need me to help. So my job is basically with a different charity every week doing more good deeds. So my blog will continue, and the work I'm doing is going to spread far and wide, more than I ever imagined it would. It's going to be an amazing year. This year's been amazing already, but next year it's just going to be so exciting to be able to help so many people.
You've been getting a bit of flack for this, haven't you?
I have.
Why?
Indeed.
What have people been saying?
Oh, I've been getting, different mixes of opinions from a range of spectrums, from lovely to not so nice. And, my reaction to it is that everybody's entitled to their opinion. I try not to dwell on the negative. I try and look to the positive. I'm helping people. I'm spending my life and this year doing as much good as I can do. So, everybody's entitled to say what they want to say, and that's fine. But fundamentally, I'm just trying to help people, and I just urge others to kind of take a leaf and do it yourself, and pay it forward and go and help somebody that you don't know. Because, we've all been in the situation, I'm sure you have as well, where you needed help. And actually, if somebody came up to you in the street and offered some help to you when you needed it, it would have turned your day from a really bad one to a really good one. So that's my reaction. I try not to dwell on the negative. I just power forward and just keep doing what I'm doing and try and be positive.
Some people have been quite cynical, haven't they? They've said because you've got a blog, because you've got... I know it says in the paper for this UA job you're going to get 35 grand. Because you've been in the newspapers, that it's not completely selfless, and that these good deeds would perhaps have been better if you just done it secretly and just kept it under your hat. Why did you feel the need to tell everyone?
I kind of felt the need to write my blog. Very, very probing question, but I felt the need to do my blog because I wanted to kind of just share the love. A lot of my friends are bloggers, and a lot of my friends are in the fashion industry, and there's this whole array of people that write things, and I just wanted to kind of write about something. I'm a passionate writer myself, and I wanted to write about something which is kind of lean towards the positive and the good, as opposed to just kind of writing about the next bag that I bought or the new pair of shoes and showing them off. I kind of thought, well, actually, there's people out there that can't afford them, or there are people on the street, so why not highlight those people that genuinely need help? And so it didn't start. I tried my best to keep the blog anonymous. If you go back to the beginning of it, you'll see that I tried to be anonymous, but unfortunately the way the media works in this country, they pick up on something and they thrust it out there, and it wasn't through my choice. That was never an intention. It happened organically and naturally, and I've just done what I've been doing to raise awareness for different charities and different people in different events, because I've been able to. I'm able to now to promote charities and raise a good amount of money for people that need it. For instance, I heard a story of a guy that was on the streets, and I've managed to raise almost £1,000 for him to get him off and start a new life. So it's a full circle thing. You have to realise that with the positives with the negatives there are the positives, and that's what I try and dwell on, not the negative stuff.
What are you doing for Christmas, Luke?
Oh, I'm going to a soup kitchen, and then I'm cooking dinner for 8 people.
Good for you. Well, listen, Luke, nice to talk to you. Have a good Christmas. Luke Cameron there. Thank you very much, and you too, mate. 03453 009956. The question there's a question that's formulating in my mind, and it's I can't quite get the words for a good. This is going to come out clumsy. This is just coming out as it's coming out. For a good deed to count and be completely selfless, doesn't it have to be, if not anonymous, then at least not promoted? For something to be completely selfless, doesn't it have to be done under the radar? 03453 009956. It's slightly clumsy, but I think you get the point. And he's done some great stuff. He's done some stuff that perhaps isn't. I think one of the good deeds was he cooked a dinner. Oh well, cook a dinner. But some of the stuff he's done is great, and I've done that thing. I've been stuck behind an old woman in the shops who couldn't afford her shopping, and I went, I'll get this, love. It's a tenner. I'll get this. I've been in the shops with some kids, and they were like threepence short of the money they needed for their sweeties, and the fella wouldn't let them have them. And I went, oh, come on, mate, put this on my bill. I'll get this. I've done that a few times. There's me telling everybody and not being honest. For an act of kindness to be completely selfish, doesn't it have to come from a place of anonymity and secrecy? Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Because it's not completely selfless. By saying, by telling everyone on a blog or in a newspaper, I gave a homeless person 500 quid. By saying that, it's not selfless because you're getting something out of it. You're getting something out of it, aren't you? You're getting the satisfaction, a smugness. You're getting people going, oh, what a nice bloke. 03453 009956. Doreen's on the line. Good morning, Doreen. Do you do nice things for people?
Good. Of all these words.
Here we go.
I think it's not what you say, it's how you say them. It's the way that it's put. It can, like the P word. It's only short for Pakistani. It's like
but it comes, Doreen.
I can't send it wrong, you know. There's another word that
no, Doreen,
people
but
don't
Doreen,
use today, which begins with a W. And do you know what it's short for? Western Oriental Gentleman. But people are not allowed to use it.
No, because that word, and I know what, obviously the word you're referring to. That's
what it means.
No, that's in dispute as to whether that's actually what it means.
It's
but also,
yeah.
Well,
That's
but it's in
short for.
Well, that's what some people believe. That's not necessarily true.
That's
but
what I also believed it was short for.
Flipping it. Can I get a worded?
Carry on.
But it comes loaded. Whether that's that Western Oriental Gentleman thing is true or not, and I'm not sure it is, it comes loaded with so much baggage, doesn't it? People know that there are certain words.
You use it.
Flipping it. No, it's not. There is.
You can use a lot of words, Ian.
Oh, let me get a word in edgeways.
Go on then. Carry on.
Shut up then. There is no way you would say the W word or the N word and it not come from a place of offence. You know what those words mean. You know what the people... calling someone...
How people
no,
take it.
No, it
some
doesn't.
People don't take offence, other people can.
You
Some
know...
people with ginger hair, they call them ginger, people couldn't care less.
I might as well just go home now, let her do the rest of the show.
Paddy, you know.
Yes.
I mean, where will it all end? You'll have people who name William, you won't be able to call them Bill or Will, you know.
Well, don't call them Willie.
Well, yeah, I know people, the name's Willie.
Do you know Willie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And often I'll use the P word. If somebody asks me for where did you get that from? I'll say the P shop.
Yeah, well done riding that fader. I think we're okay.
In a derogative way.
No, but it comes loaded, and you are of a certain generation. My mum still used the P word, and I try and correct her, but she's from that generation. But that word is so loaded with hatred, with subjugation, with horrible connotations, and comparing the abbreviation of Pakistani to Brummie is completely different because Brummie has never been used as an insult.
Well, if some people could take it as an insult,
it's never. No,
I think it's all a storm in a teacup.
Yeah, because you're not black,
like
you're not
Christmas.
Pakistani, you're not Chinese, you're
and things like that. It's all
Doreen,
baloney.
Right? Yeah, exactly. The Winterval thing is nonsense. That no council has ever said you can't say Christmas. That's a made-up story.
They did.
Which
they
one?
Said you couldn't
Which
put
one?
Christmas up. You've got to call it Winterval.
Which council was that?
Birmingham, a few years ago. They had the Christmas thing. They wouldn't put.
They didn't.
Put
No.
Winterval, not Christmas.
I guarantee.
Yeah,
Doreen,
the
would you
woman
please
was
let me talk?
Control of the council. Can't remember her name offhand. Yeah, they had Winterval for a couple of years, and people said, "Really, God, it should be Christmas." Well, no, it's upset people. But the people they said it was upset said it wouldn't upset them. It's all in people's minds. But I do think it's not. You can use a word in two different ways, and it can be offensive, and it needn't be offensive. It's how you use it. I think that's me. Ta-ra.
Can I speak?
I'm waiting.
Oh.
Bated breath.
Right. The story that you said about Birmingham Council saying you can't use the word Christmas
They didn't
is
say you
not true.
can't use the word Christmas.
Thank you.
They said they're going to call it Winterval, not Christmas.
Well, that's a different story altogether. That's
You said they can't use the word. I didn't say that.
Well, what was the
I
point
said
of
they
that
called
story
it-
then?
They called Christmas where they put Happy Christmas.
Yeah, I've started
they
her
put
again,
Happy
sorry.
Winterval, because they said it might upset people.
No,
and
they
all
didn't
the
say
people
that.
they said it upset
They didn't say
phoned in
that.
and said it
They
didn't
didn't say
upset
that,
them.
Doreen. They didn't say that. They didn't say it would upset people.
They did. Oh,
No, they
yes,
didn't.
they did.
It's
They
not true.
said it would
It's not
upset. They couldn't do it because
they
it
didn't
was a
say
mixed, and it wasn't suitable for people who didn't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, that's not true.
Well, it is true. I'm telling you. I'm trying
surprisingly-
to think of the woman that was over the council.
Surprisingly-
People will ring in and tell you it was, because there was a lot of
right.
hoo-ah about it
Yeah.
at the time.
All right.
In a
Do you know
few
what?
years.
I'm just going to cut you off now. Flip it. Eh? That's not a true story. 03453 009956. Yes, they may have used the term Winterval, but as you just said, the term Christmas wasn't banned. So it was just an umbrella term. Yeah, it's a little bit clumsy, a little bit hackneyed, a little bit silly. And you can't compare the abbreviation for Pakistani with Brummy, because Brummy doesn't come with years of bullying. We created Pakistan, right? Pakistan was a man-made country in, when was partition? 1947, I'm going to say. And we completely, it was all one country, India, and we completely screwed those guys over with the creation of Pakistan. We completely screwed those guys over. We gave them, I think, a month to make two separate massive countries. And the abbreviation for Pakistan, I know I always tell this story, it's a good story, it's an important story. The abbreviation for Pakistani comes with so much weight, with so much history, with so much bullying, with so much nastiness, with so much death. Brummy doesn't. You know, I don't get... Well, Doreen, you're a white, lower middle class woman of a certain age. You know, in the great scheme of things, what hardships have you had? And I'm sure you have had plenty of hardships. But compared to... anyway... 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. But if you're going to phone up, have a chat with me. Otherwise, there's no point in me being here. Teresa's in Sheldon. Good morning, Teresa.
Oh, good morning, Ian.
What would you like to say, my dear?
I would like to say about an act of kindness.
Go on.
I think any act of kindness should be done without anyone knowing about it.
Oh.
Because if people let people know what they do, and people say, oh, you're very good, and you get compliments, well, then you're getting satisfaction out of it, and everyone knows about it. It should be done for the goodness of your heart, with anonymity, as you call it.
So what was the last anonymous act of kindness you did?
Without telling anyone?
Yeah.
Yes. I sent away a cheque to Crisis for the homeless this week. But I've told you now because you asked me.
Now, I was going to say, you've just told me, so does that negate it, Teresa?
Sorry, you've cut me out.
I caught you out there.
You did, yeah.
Okay, well, you don't need to give us any more, but do you do these things regularly?
I do them, no, not regularly, on and off occasions.
The thing about that, and good luck to Luke, he's trying to make a difference, and well done for him.
No, good luck to him. I don't wish, you know.
I guess the story is here that he's in the newspapers because he's doing nice things.
Yes.
Which the implication is the majority of us don't do nice things. So the story is we're not very nice people.
Yes. Yes, I know what he's trying to say, and he did do a lot of nice things. But I think a lot of people perhaps do nice things maybe several times a month, and perhaps nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree?
I think I do, Teresa. Listen, thank you for your call. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. I suppose the story is that we're not very nice people. If it's newsworthy that a young fella goes out and helps people, then the rest of us are miserable as whatever and most unhelpful. I'm just seeing what's on... Susan, I'm just seeing what's on Christmas Day.
OK.
It's a bit rubbish.
Why are they comedies from the 70s?
No, if only. Mrs. Brown's Boys and Michael McIntyre.
Mrs. Brown's Boys is absolutely wonderful.
Really?
Yes. Yes, it's like the old 70s comedies, which are all absolutely wonderful.
Not all of them.
Most of them were.
Oh, come on. Are You Being Served, which we've already discussed?
Yes,
It is rubbish.
No, it wasn't. It was... You see, what's killed comedy is all this PC.
No, it wasn't funny. I remember watching it as a kid before PC had been invented, and it wasn't funny.
Oh, if you watched it as a kid, you probably wouldn't get most of the comedy then.
I wouldn't get the references to her sexual parts, would I?
Well, there were a lot of innuendos, which you probably wouldn't have got. But I think PC killed British comedy.
No, I don't buy this nonsense at all. All PC does, OK, in terms of comedy, means we can't go around making jokes about Pakistanis and black people. That's all.
Well, people
That's
make
the only
jokes about
difference it's
white
made to
people.
comedy.
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. I mean, everything Doreen's just said, I agree with. Like when you used to do things like Alf Garnett, that was actually all turned around on him. And people...
But you're not saying you want to turn on telly on Christmas Day and hear someone making jokes about Pakistanis?
Well, probably the Pakistani people thought it was funny, the same as everyone else did, because we have jokes told about us. We get called Poms and Limeys.
But Poms isn't a term of superiority. It's not used in an aggressive, nasty term.
Well, I don't think it was in the 70s in the main. All right, you're going to get some words, I'll give you that. But normally, the people that it was aimed at, for the want of a better word, used to find it funny anyway.
There are two Pakistanis. Two Pakistanis walk into a bar and a black fella walks in. I don't want to hear jokes like that.
Well, what about the Englishman, the Irishman and the Scotsman?
I don't particularly want to hear jokes like that.
Because you take them in a way that they were not meant. It was all meant as comedy. And if you take it in any other way, well, I think that's your problem.
Well, do you want to hear jokes about Jews being tight with money?
Well, it's just one of those things that was made a joke of.
But that's a really offensive stereotype, isn't it?
Yes, but Ian, there's far, far worse things you can call people. And
of course there are far worse things, but it doesn't mean we should...
stereotypes, aren't they? You only have to look at the propaganda programmes.
So you're
on the television.
happy to hear jokes about Jews being tight with money, black men having big willies and being able to run fast, and Pakistanis being stupid?
Well, I've never heard a joke about Pakistanis being stupid.
But the other stereotypes you're fine with?
Ian, it doesn't bother me.
You laughed at it.
When I was a young girl, I was
But you're not a black man or a Pakistani woman.
Sorry?
You're not a black man or a Pakistani woman.
No, but let me just tell you this, where I'm coming from. When I was very young, I was very tall for my age. I was very, very slim, thin, bordering on thin, and I had a mop of curly hair. I was called all sorts of nicknames, and to be quite honest, it just went over the top of my head, and I think that, you need to get out a little bit more if you kind of start taking offence.
Yeah, but with the greatest respect, Susan, your family haven't been subjected to, your ancestors haven't been subjected to hundreds of years of slavery or abuse or rape or bullying or even even being
no, I'm sorry, Ian.
Or even being shouted abuse in the street now, not getting jobs because of your colour or because of your ethnicity.
But you see, that is nasty. But the comedy programmes and certain words, it's all gone too far. Like people with ginger hair. It's just one of those things. I had naturally curly hair. I was called mophead and things.
But being
like
called
that.
mophead is not the same as being called an M word or a P word, is
No,
it? Is it?
because
And
I'm
even
being called
Susan,
a
you're
ginger
intelligent. You know that's not similar.
Well, you see, that Doreen was quite right when she said Western Oriental gentleman. That is what it means. Now, who has turned that around into a derogatory word? And I have to say, in the 70s, when a lot of these words were being used, the majority of people did not take offence. It's actually your generation.
Or they weren't listened to. They weren't listened to when they were upset by it.
Sorry?
Or they weren't listened to when they were upset by it.
Well, I don't know about that. The people I know weren't. It's actually your generation that's caused all the trouble, not ours.
Susan, thank you very much for that. If my generation has caused all the trouble of us not using particularly offensive and racist words, then I'm proud to have been part of that trouble. Thank you, Susan. Let's get the travel. BBC WM 95.6 is the travel with Liz.
Hello, Ian. It's still looking rather congested as you head into Birmingham, particularly around Park Street at the moment, around Bordsley Street. And as you head through Selly Oak, although that's looking a little easier than it was before along Bristol Road by Selly Oak Triangle, still some slight congestion. It's not too bad around the Burnt Tree traffic lights at the moment in Dudley, the A461 junction with Tividale Road. Into Wolverhampton, some slight congestion as you head away from the M6 and through along the Black Country route through towards the centre of Wolverhampton. Your matchday travel sees Baggies fans heading off to QPR, West London. The M40 looks clear so far towards the M25, but you might want to get a bit of a rig along and heading towards the M4. Blues fans, Birmingham City fans, going north to Huddersfield for their game. The M6 is generally looking clear. Around the M62 also not too bad as you head off in that direction. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
This Christmas on BBC WM 95.6.
Join me, Chris Tarrant, for some special programmes.
Chris Tarrant interviews famous faces from the West Midlands.
Bob Warman, Nick Owen, Anchormen. That's what it says here. Meet the West Midlands' very own Anchormen.
It's the amount of people who come and say to you, I grew up watching you. I grew up watching these people are in their 40s.
Yeah. I'll tell the story of the outrageous success that was Tiswas.
Tiswas set the tone for every Saturday morning children's programme.
And catch up with the most famous stupid boy of them all.
Well, if it's on over Christmas, that means we can go to the pub.
Yeah. God bless you. You're a very nice man.
Thank you. It's been fun talking to you at last.
This year, Christmas time is Chris Tarrant time.
Starts Christmas Day from 2
on BBC WM 95.6.
I've just checked and I've just done some brief research, but I'm sure this is the case. The Western Oriental Gentleman acronym is a myth. It's a myth. It's not the case. I don't know the full origin of the word. Possibly comes from golly. I don't know. I'll look into it for a later date. But the Western Orient Gentleman thing is a myth. The myth does hey
Spend the bass, no treble, all about the bass, about the bass, no treble. I'm playing that today. I'm playing that. It's on about 12:15.
Basically saying we've got big bums.
That's it, yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
I haven't got a big... I've got a big belly now. I haven't got a big... Look at this, producer Joe. You are both so old. Yeah, get with the programme, girlfriend. We're hip to the scene.
Got a body of a god. Buddha.
I got... Hey! What are you up to, Daz? Where are you today, mate?
I'm at Villa Park. Yes, Manchester United in town today, and it's always a big day when Manchester United are in town, so I'm going to be bringing you the build-up to all the big games from here this afternoon in early kick-off from midday. Our exclusive FM commentary this afternoon comes from West London. It's QPR against Albion, so hopefully Albion can overpower Rangers today. On DAB in the Birmingham area, Huddersfield Blues. On DAB in the Black Country and Freeview Channel 722, Wolves Brighton. We've also got a Sheffield United as well. Coverage of this game. And amongst the things we're talking about today, being it's 9 years next month since Wolves signed Thomas Frankowski, the Pole without a goal. Who's the worst striker you've seen at your club? And also, because you're trying to get all festive, footballers with a Christmas theme to their name. We'll put together a dream team doing that. And we'll be playing You Know What All About the Bass, no treble, about 12:15.
Can we cut him off now, please? Has he gone? Good, thank you. He comes on here with his rubbish jokes, singing his silly songs. It's... Bless him. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. A few calls to rattle through. Let's go to Mohammed. Good morning, Mohammed.
Good morning. How are you?
People are so upset, as it's being pointed out to me on Twitter. Let me get this tweet from Scott. People really are annoyed that they can't use offensive words anymore, aren't they? And that's the thing. There are some words that we can't use. Big deal.
People are too touchy.
Oh, go on.
They're really too touchy. I mean, I've had all sorts of things said to me. I mean, I'm just a short so-and-so.
Yes, you are a very tiny man. We've seen the pictures.
And when I was at school, I was a little bit plump as well, so I was a short, fat Irish so-and-so. But that didn't bother me. You know, just get on with life. Who cares? Let them say what they want to do. I was at the bus stop the other day in town, and this guy, I think he'd had a few to drink, like, you know, and I'd got my scarf around my head, like, you know, the way Arabs wear the scarf around their head.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he went, "Are you white?"
Oh.
I looked at my hand and I went, "I don't know. Am I?"
What was he getting
Then I've
at?
been told to go home and get myself white because of the way I dress.
What, go home to Edgbaston?
Yeah, well, just go home and get myself white because of the way I dress. I should be white.
Because I'm not offended by the kind of racially offensive terms for white people. There aren't that many, but they don't come loaded, do they? Whereas
No,
the
but
N-word, the P-word, they're loaded.
What he was looking at me because there's no formal dress for a Muslim to wear. I dress in the style that some Arab people wear, like, because it's comfortable. Some people dress in shalwar kameez, which is Pakistani. And, of course, this one particular day, I was wearing shalwar kameez, which is a Pakistani-style dress.
I used to have some myself. They're very comfortable.
Yeah, they are, yeah. And you see, the way he looked at me, he didn't see me as a white person. He saw me as a Pakistani person. And then he was mixed up. And then he looked at me again, and he said, "You want to go home and get yourself white?"
Well, that would confuse. I spent 3 months in Pakistan,
I
and I got a little bit. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it there. It's such a great country.
Yeah.
And I kind of got a bit of racial abuse towards me from some of the Pakistanis who didn't want white people there.
You would do.
But it was. I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't think that white middle-aged people. There's nothing that's offensive you can say to us, is there?
Oh, I think we've heard it all. Like, you know, I mean, if I'm walking down the road sometimes beside Central Mosque, there's a lot of shops there, like, you know, and you get various groups standing around, and you'll see a car pull up, and all of a sudden they'll shout out, "Hey, you, N, come here."
Blimey. Mohammed, listen, I've got to move on because I want to squeeze in a few more calls. Thank you. Dave's on the line. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Dave. What would you like to say?
This W word that everybody that you're on about, that Doreen was on about, it goes back to the 50s from when people came over from other countries and the government found them work. It stands for workers of the government.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't it?
No, it's a myth.
Is it?
Yeah.
And then you went on about...
Glad we sorted that out.
Yeah, okay. And then you went on about taking...
Surely it's short for golly, isn't it? Which they started about 1895. So it's got to be short for that.
No, it could be. It's the same as... I won't say it. I had a mate, and he came from Jamaica, and we used to call him Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
What was on the jam? What was on the jar of the jam?
Yes.
You probably wouldn't remember that.
I do remember. I used to collect the badges.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you were on about people taking the mick and that out themselves. What about Citizen Khan then?
Oh, that awful, unfunny sitcom. It's a terrible programme,
No,
isn't
but
it?
he does. He takes the mick out of his own race, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, you know.
I don't... What's your point?
No, but... And he uses the words, doesn't he? You know, like the...
I don't think he uses the P word, does he?
No, he doesn't. But I've watched it a couple of times, and, you know...
I don't know what your point is.
No, I'm just saying...
Okay.
I was
Dave?
brought up in the same age group as the lady who was on before.
Yes,
and,
old.
If you want to. I don't mind you calling me old.
Okay. Dave, listen, I'm going to move on because I'm not quite sure what the point is we're getting at. Yes, Citizen Khan exists. It's not a very funny programme. I guess the difference there is it's made and written by Asian people. And it's not offensive to Asian people. It's not offensive to Muslims. It's not offensive to white people. It's just a sitcom that's got Asian people in. It's like My Family. It's a sitcom that's got white people in. Neither of them are funny. Sean's on the line. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you, boss. The end is in sight. What have you got for us?
I just don't know who. When you go the P word, who does that offend? Who do you think it offends?
I don't understand the question. You don't. You know what the P word is, don't you?
You keep going the P word, right? Packy word. That's what we're on about. Who
Right.
do you
All
think,
right.
who do you think-
Well. Sean, button it, fader down, please, guys. Come on. We've come so far. We've come so far in this show. Apologies if anyone was offended. I think someone's looking for trouble. Let's see. Yes, Sean. Yellow card.
The P word. Who do you think it offends?
Okay, people of Asian backgrounds who get labelled with it. Pakistanis, Indians and other people of that ilk.
I completely disagree with you, and I think you've got the wrong end of the stick.
Please tell me why, Sean.
Because I think it's an abbreviation for the word, and I think the people who get offended from it are the people who don't come from Pakistan. And they're targeted with that name, and they think they're inferior, and that's who gets upset. I don't think the actual Pakistani people do get upset
But people are getting upset by it, so we shouldn't use that word.
So, like, I'm Irish and people call me a paddy. Where's the big deal? And
Sean,
you can say,
we're going around in circles, mate.
You can say it comes with the baggage, but the baggage of the paddy word is uneducational. People that's uneducated, so that comes with baggage as well, doesn't it?
But Sean, if people are offended by a racially motivated word, then why are you so upset that you can't use the P word?
I'm not upset, but I'm not.
Well, then why are you
I just don't understand who's targeting it.
Well, Sean, come on. Bye-bye. You do know. You do know. You're just you're being argumentative for the sake of it. Have you asked any Pakistanis if they're offended by it? I have. Some of them don't like it. Yeah, they use it within their own communities. That's fine. Sean, 4 out of 10. Ramjit.
Hiya, mate. You're right.
Roger Ranjit.
How are you?
I'm all right, fella. How you doing?
Okay, you know that last fella, he don't know what he's on about. You know, if you have experienced people using derogatory terms to you, then you'll understand it. When I get called the P word, I mean, I'm Indian, but to me, I still find it offensive. I mean, when I used to work before, people used to ask me and say, are you Indian or Pakistani? I say, well, why? He said, well, I can't tell the difference. You all look the same to me, yeah? So I didn't used to get offended, but I thought, I've got to turn this around. And the way I turned it around was, I used to ask them, are you English or Irish? And they'd say, oh, I'm English, I ain't Irish. And then they say, why do you ask? I say, well, to me, you all look the same. So it depends in which context you're using. Now, I've got an Irish friend, his name's Michael, and he does not like being called Mick, because Mick was a derogatory term to describe an
There's a good one. Yeah, I'd forgotten the term Mick. Yeah, there's a good one.
So some people do take offence, right? Now, I've got another Irish friend. He likes to be called Paddy, right? So it depends how people grew up, yeah? I grew up with a bit of racism targeted towards us in the 70s and the 80s. Now, when somebody uses the P word or the N word, it reminds me of my childhood, yeah, of where we was picked on just because of the colour of our skin, right? Now, my friend Michael, he normally does listen to your show, so hello, Michael. When he came
You were doing
over,
so well until you started doing shout-outs to your mates.
No,
You're making a good point.
when he came over from Ireland when he was a child, it was back in the 70s when after the bombings. Now, he drastically had to change his accent because he says he used to get a kicking, for just being Irish. Now, the thing is, what you got to understand with people is, if everybody was the same height, same colour, same body things, you would have to find something else to pick on them. Now, if you've lost your argument with me, you'll pick on something that, about my features. Yeah.
I've never picked on your features.
Because you don't know my features, because I've got a face for the radio.
Hang on a second. Right, first of all, I've never lost an argument with you. And secondly, how dare you slur my name by saying if I did lose an argument because I wasn't very well or I was on medication, that I would then start picking on your features. I would never resort to that, Ramjit.
No, you would pick on what I've got to say. You call me boring.
Yeah, because what you say is boring and complete and utter rubbish.
No, well, listen.
Yes.
Look, if everybody was the same colour, same height. Now, if you sported the Albion, you sported the Wolves, you hate each other. So people need to sometimes, just to justify themselves, they need to find something to pick on somebody, and that's what happened. And that's why, because you've got the fader, when you start losing arguments, you fade me out.
I do no such thing. He said, fading him out. We're not here next week. Have a cracking Christmas from me and Bernie and Andy and producer Joe, of course. We're back New Year's Day with a very, very funny best-of show between, I think it's 9 and 11 in the morning. And then we're back on Friday the 2nd, I think it is. Oh, it's too far ahead. Who cares about that? Enjoy Christmas. Thank you, Joe. I've had a wonderful 5 years working with you. Let's have another 5 more, shall we? Daz is up next. Ta-ta.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
So coming up then in a few moments, we'll be building up to all of today's big games involving our local sides in early kick-off with me, Daz Hale. We're also putting together, with your help, a dream team of footballers with a Christmas theme in their name. I also